Hello, we are live. Welcome to Midweek Gaming with Stubbs and Crew. It's been a big, eventful week this week with the launch of the Xbox. The launch of the Xbox pre-orders, sorry. We've got a good panel for you today. We've got Mr. Tishi. Welcome. How are you doing, mate?
I'm all right, living the dream as normal.
Good.
As always.
Welcome, Removal Scientist. How are you doing?
Again, I'm always surprised that even you bothered to ask me on, but thank you very much. Yes, I'm okay.
You will learn, Warwick. This man doesn't know how to shut up.
They did me talk, yeah.
Welcome, Warwick.
That works.
Welcome, Warwick. How you doing?
I'm okay, buddy. Not too bad myself.
Good to hear. And welcome, VJ. Have you got yourself a nice cup of tea?
Not at the moment. Not at the moment. It's
Get him a cup of Tetley.
Thanks for having me on again, Stubbs. Much appreciated.
Yeah, no, you're a good panel member. You have a great viewing perspective, and you have a different view to a lot of games. You think of topics on a different angle and perspective than I've heard other guests on other shows. To be honest,
thank you.
You do. Right. I know I'm going to ask this question, but I'm going to ask a different question to Ulrich. The subject is, how did your Xbox Series X pre-orders go? But I'm going to start with Ulrich because how did your PS5 pre-order go, Ulrich?
It went very well, mate. Very well. After they had the showcase, I went to bed about 10 o'clock time. Woke up about 7 o'clock and went straight onto, I won't mention the name, onto a store. Had a look at the pre-order, hit the pre-order for the disc version, got one straight away.
Fantastic.
But 6 hours later, they were sold out. So.
Oh, good. I know it was mental. But you didn't pre-order the Series X yet, then? No.
Well, no. I'm happy with my Xbox One X. I'm happy with that for them.
That's all right. Well, while we're on the subject, you're talking about the Xbox One X. Amazon went up 575% because people were buying Xbox One X's thinking they were Series X's.
Oh.
No, I'm not kidding. Because I think what the problem was, because I looked on, even my dad kept clicking it. He weren't going to buy one. The problem was when you type in on Amazon, the Xbox Series X. Now, if you weren't looking, at the top option, it was Xbox One X, and I think people were just clicking it, thinking the casuals were just clicking it and not looking. That one click buy is dangerous.
Stubbs, there was a report saying apparently some of these bots, for the scalpers, apparently the bots were buying a lot of them.
Good.
By that response, I believe you didn't know that.
No, I did not, and that's good news because I don't. Them scalpers are scumbags.
I'm sure I read that today somewhere.
Just like they want to do the RTX 3080, they're scalping buggers and all.
They're scouting. What, they're doing that too?
Oh yeah, ripping people off.
Wow, I didn't know that.
It was 40,000. I saw one going for.
Yeah. Thing is, what you got to understand is who's the fool, the one who's selling it or the one who's buying it.
The one who's buying it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So before I get to the next person, I'm just going to do some shout outs because I've got 11 people in the chat already. I'm very shocked. Stinking Corpse, welcome. UK Dazarus, welcome. He's listening in the bath. I hope you're having fun.
Exactly.
Welcome. Who else we got? Go down the list. Welcome from Speculation. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome Green Pass Gaming. Hope you're doing
Sega.
well. Who else? She's now elite. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Gaming differently with Cerebral Paul. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Rio Echo. I think I got that right. How you doing? Thanks for stopping by. I've caught up now. Now, VJ, how did your Series X pre-order go?
Not that great, unfortunately. I managed to get onto GameStop here, and they said, "Don't refresh. You're in a line, and we'll come to you shortly." Half an hour later, I was just kicked back out to the main GameStop page. So
Right.
and it's difficult for me to get out at the moment due to personal reasons. So I couldn't actually go to a store because there's a GameStop just down the road. But to be honest with you, I've got a backlog on PlayStation. I've got a backlog on Switch. When I moved here, I ended up, obviously, because I moved here from the UK, so I sold all my consoles and games and DVDs and comic collections and handed them down and so on and so forth. So I was really looking forward to getting a Series X, but I'm relaxed, and everyone should be relaxed because the way that the production is going to happen is every couple of weeks. I think there'll be incremental stock coming in all the way up until March. So I'm hoping that on the second wave, if we do get informed and they're not just drop shipped into retailers without the public knowing, hopefully that Sony and Microsoft will let us know when it's going to happen again, and maybe we'll be lucky. But it is disappointing that while I was online waiting, I just popped onto eBay to see what was happening, and there was already people selling, machines for $600, $700, $800, up to $900. And while I'm still waiting in a queue trying to get a hold of one, so I can understand people doing that, and I can understand it's a quick way to make a margin. And some people have got the philosophy of, hey, look, if we can snag 2 or 3. If I sell the 2, I'll pay for my 1, and I understand that. I completely do, but it's disappointing at the same time that not everybody is going to be able to enjoy, playing the games with their friends come launch day or a few days in. We're going to have to wait.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, hopefully most people get theirs by launch. I mean, I was one of the people that I couldn't manage to get one because I went with Smith Toys, and Smith Toys should never ever be allowed in charge of anything.
No,
I mean, basically the way I ordered it, and then I had to use some different details to order it in the end. And then by the time I got to it, it was sold out. But 8 a.m. they were supposed to go live. They didn't go live on the Smith's Toy website till about 3 p.m. in the afternoon. And everyone thought they were sold out on the website, and they weren't. They just didn't go live. But what I should have done in the morning, I went on the game. Game had a queue, and I was that raging. Like I was very. I'm fucking waiting this long and all that. I left the queue, and I tried to get back onto the site, and the game site was down for maintenance. It was. And when it came back up again, I went onto the game site. They used different details with this one, with my wife, and I bet it let me through straight through the queue. And for some reason, I don't know why, I put it on Twitter. It was saying that to get a Series X, you had to be a current member of the All Access program. It wouldn't allow me to join the All Access program for the Series X. And then when I put store collection, it said, please type in your pre-order number from the store. So I couldn't get one off game. Then by the time I did get round to sorting it out, all the All Access was sold out. So I wasn't happy last night. Mr. Tushin removed all the
Here's a grumpy bugger.
I was.
It's a picture. I didn't know that, Stubbs, because like so when I pre-ordered my PS5, there was plenty of Series X's at that time.
Oh, no, there was. Well, when Tucci went on. But we'll talk about... Oh, actually, I'll go on to Mr. Tucci next. How did your pre-order go?
It was hell.
Yeah, right. For you, no.
No, I had Amazon open and the Xbox store, and I was refreshing them constantly. I mainly wanted to go through Amazon, but because you get the tracking and stuff with the Amazon Prime.
Yeah, you do.
But I kept looking and I couldn't find the Series X everywhere. I just kept looking, refreshing, nothing was coming up. So I went onto the Xbox store and it kept crashing. And it was just constant. I was just flicking in between each both, and it was driving me insane. Because it took about 20 minutes of all this refreshing. Then I finally got the Microsoft website finally worked, and then it froze on the one page. I filled in my details. I had to change my address because it put my old address from 2013.
Oh, did it? Okay.
So I had to change all that, and then which was strange. Once it done that, it was just refreshing on the confirmations for ages. But in the end, I got one, which I'm happy. Very, very happy. Relieved.
Yeah, you were. You were straight on Twitter. I was like, yeah, I got one. I think most people did. They got one. And I can't blame people if they got one, for saying,
I've got
saying
5 on
that.
I've got 5 on eBay if you want one still.
No, I mean, I'm sure I'll get one on when, as VJ says, they're going to be releasing more waves, because Xbox did say that there will be more. Just keep register your interest with the stores. But the problem was, I registered my interest with like a few stores, and none of them sent emails saying be ready for tomorrow at 8 a.m.
No, they didn't.
None of them did.
Not
So
even in
it
the
was pretty much pointless, really. To be honest, it was.
You know what's going to happen? You're going to be outside the game shop 1 a.m, camping
I'm
out.
actually going Leicester tomorrow. I've got to go to hospital. I've got to go Leicester tomorrow, and I'd say even if I walked down to game, they wouldn't have any left.
Nah.
Not that time, because it's later in
Not
the evening. You know, a wasted walk that would be. I'm just going to do a few shout outs before we get to the next person, because a few more people came in. Welcome, the Indie Gamer. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome, Michael Blocks of X. Nice to see you. Who else we got? There's quite a few came in. Thanks. I'm very surprised. Wakanda News today. Thanks for stopping by. Geeks Gods. God's Geeks. Thanks for stopping by. Infinite. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. That's it. Right. Removable Sanity. How did your
Is everyone ready for a good long chat? Well, first of all, before I actually do respond, happy birthday, Indie Gamer. He's 50, I've heard. So congratulations.
Happy birthday, Indie Gamer. Happy 60th.
60th. He should have a bit of respect. He's my age group.
I'm getting there.
My age. I don't know.
I don't think he's not 50 now. I'll take the mick out of him. But I'm a bit like Tushi here. Yes, I managed to get one. How? I have no idea. I was in the very same boat as Mr. Tushi. I had Amazon open, and I had the Microsoft's own page website open, and I was flicking in between both of them. I think I was in the middle of also talking to Stubbs and Tushi myself.
Yeah.
I was watching the configure button on the Windows website. Amazon didn't pop up once in the entire day of the Series X. Not once. Didn't see it. It was always unavailable. Always unavailable.
Oh, okay.
It took
for at
me
least
2
for
hours
me,
to do Series X. 2 hours it took to show up on my screen.
I would not be surprised.
Very strange.
And I managed, when at 8 o'clock clicked, I think I may have just got in prior to it switching over, because I clicked on configure and then it let me in, at which point it crashed 3 times. I then managed to type in my details. It crashed again. I then typed into my confirmation, which then they sent me a confirmation code through my mobile phone. It crashed again. At which point I managed to type that in and click on buy. And from that moment on till now, it died. The whole site died. I literally had the website just crashed. And 5 minutes later, I got a message through on the phone saying I got one receipt. But at that point on, the whole system just died everywhere. And I think, to be honest with you, if I'm truly honest, I don't think they were expecting that many people to be interested. And I think that had something to do with the news previously.
I would personally agree with that. I don't think they anticipated the level of interest in the Xbox Series X, because...
Well, if you look at America, and VJ, you'll be able to confirm this, we were seeing pictures on the US store saying, we've got 1 Series X here, or one Series X and 2 Series S in the store. And I was like, really? That small amount? Surely that can't be right.
Is that a tactic, VJ, when launching products? Like, is it? I hear this is a tactic Nintendo use as well.
I think new hardware launches from Nintendo and Sony are always in short supply at launch, which is understandable. If you go back as far as PlayStation 2, 3, and 4, and even the Nintendo Switch, which is obviously in recent memory, were all in high demand, and supply continued to be drip-fed for several months. However, the initial high demand was eventually fulfilled, and supply became stable after about 4 months, or maybe 6 months even. Sony and Microsoft, I think, both severely underestimated the demand, that's for sure. And I think they ramped up production a little late as well, not wanting to pay, like I think it was almost 4 times as much. The cost of components rose in Asia during March and April due to the the frequent sort of fear, right, arising in most human beings, which occurs in the face of danger or threat, right, which is obviously now well documented as being COVID-19. But in June, though, sorry, let me know if I'm going on too much. But
no, you're fine. You're fine.
But not till June did the prices and supply and production resume some sort of normalcy. If anything, from the people that I spoke to, everything was pretty much back to normal since the beginning of June. It was just up until the end of Q2 there were issues. Microsoft, on the other hand, were reportedly prepared to pay a bit more to start production a little early. I think there was rumors going around that they started production as early as April. And please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't always have my dates and times and numbers and percentages correct, so chime in if I've got anything wrong. Obviously, that is not true. Sony have targeted 10 million sales by March 31st. And I still don't think that will be enough. Also, bear in mind, we don't know how complex or how many production lines are in operation for each system that are being manufactured, nor how long they take to set up the production lines in themselves and train additional manpower to be efficient and well coordinated. Even though products that have been in production for a long time and have gone through their iterations, a lot of them do end up going primarily through the focus of automation, right, robots and everything. These systems aren't quite right now. I think that some of it's automated and still manpower is heavily required, and that manpower does need to be trained. They don't just walk in and just start assembling, and then to get that up to speed and so on and so forth takes time as well. We also have no idea how quickly each company's production methodologies, right, will become more efficient over the opening months, right, of production. I think both companies definitely required another 2 to 3 months of lead time to stockpile enough units to sort of launch respectfully and sufficiently in order to meet all the obvious demand of this generation of systems launches, especially after, like Xbox had that 1 week where they had like an excellent series of announcements, right, and video reveals for the Series S, and then it sort of like dovetailed together with everything that was happening with the Xbox Series X in terms of pricing, games running on the Series S hardware, and so on and so forth. I thought Sony would definitely want to dampen the hype around Xbox, and I think I was on Green Pass Gaming with Flap, and I said Sony are probably going to go ahead and just in order to sort of like take a little bit more of the PR narrative away, is to announce pre-orders on the day, which they did. But obviously someone at Sony obviously failed to execute that strategy correctly. It's not that it hasn't been done before, it's just been done a lot better. Xbox countered that obviously this last Monday, right, with the Bethesda announcement. Also, although what was the strategy and decision based upon, right? Announcing Bethesda on the eve of the Xbox's next-gen console launch. Was there any need to really? It could have waited, given the amount of units that were out there. And you only have to take a rough number, right? Like 3,500 or 4,500 GameStop stores, even double that or triple it, right? And multiply that by the number of units that we know that each store got, which was like 12 or 15 or 18, being a mixture of the S and the X. Even if you do those calculations, it was nowhere near enough to launch. Xbox would have sold out anyway, or the bigger question for me then became, are Sony and Xbox out of touch with demand and their customers? What was the point of announcing the launch of Xbox in 38 countries when it was really not a practical decision, especially when you can't even launch sufficient numbers in your own home territory? Okay, I get it, albeit a launch can mean anything, right? It can mean 1 unit, 2 unit, have a presence. But obviously the main battleground for this gen is definitely the US. Looking at sort of both Sony and Microsoft, neither company were ready. They both needed time to produce and, as I said, stockpile enough units for a really different console, market landscape and generation of gamers. And I think there's considerable more demand and hype than 2013, and I think that's been because of the constant improvements, right? Not in the games that we were able to play that we never imagined would probably be possible, right? On this generation of hardware, you only have to look at the availability of more titles and the increase in quality over lifespan, right? And everybody's witnessed that, not just me, unless I'm living in a bubble. But both companies will definitely go on, in my opinion, to sell a considerable amount of more units for the next 12 to 18 months, notwithstanding anything Nintendo conjure up. But what happens beyond that depends on true next generational games, right, versus current souped up games on baseline PlayStation 4 and Xbox engines. And I really found a really good article which kind of explained what Unreal 4.25 does, right? And it kind of sank in a little bit, right? Knowing what it's going to take to produce these next gen games, I don't expect to see much more on offer from PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X games right now for at least another 12 months, other than enhancements such as, like, I know we've obviously seen bits of ray tracing or improved physics and destruction, cost simulations, visual effects, frame rates. Everyone's talking about resolution, loading, everything already available on high-end gaming PCs. I'm not a PC gamer, but I watch Moore's Law and I watch NX Gamer, and I've learned a lot from those channels that help me to actually, sort of round out my knowledge base, right? And I don't know if you guys know them, but I'd like to give them a big shout out. The next phase of games and how many subscribers join Game Pass will also determine how large Xbox or PlayStation install bases pan out to a degree. Sony, for me, may well sell the same numbers of PlayStation 5 in alignment with PS4 in terms of 100 or 150 million, as Xbox is. And every time I see Phil Spencer speak in the last 4 or 5 days, he's targeting 3 billion users, right, via numerous devices, and effectively driving consoles sort of almost in a backdoor narrative right into more homes, right? But if Xbox and Sony and Nintendo do manage to also, like, further down the road develop like data centers and data structures and foreclose on the latency issues in the next 5 years, it becomes less of an issue, if not possibly non-existent, right? And therefore, like, if they can offset stuff, like I've seen like calculations, rendering, and I speak to Mr. Tucci about this as well. He gave me some really good information. He can tell us about that. Or even ray tracing. If that can all be offset to centers and structures, then you can see that these next-gen systems are going to be around for a long time, maybe even 10 years, if not longer. We'll be sort of like then starting to enter into like the Stadia territory for real, right? And the devices won't matter as much as everyone, Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo. What will they become? They'll just effectively become software producers, right? They'll be applying all their content to devices, just as Xbox are right now. All it is that Xbox are going first, while Nintendo and Sony are holding the status quo. I think what they're doing is observing, and they're sort of like proceeding, but as backbenchers, like you do on the Parliament show on BBC Two, and I think they'll adapt and adopt what works, what doesn't work, while somewhat following Xbox's success, while mitigating the mistakes that Xbox might make along the way, and I think they're in a good position, right? They've got content. I mean, make no mistake, Microsoft right now is leveraging Xbox is leveraging what Microsoft are already experts at, right? Especially since I think that Xbox had no other choice but to do so in terms of radicalizing their business approach, and in effect the industry with their resources that they have to hand as well, right? It all marries up. Or they may well, if they hadn't have done what they are doing, they would definitely have remained in a distant third place, right? This generation as well. At the end of the day, the goal is production cost for these guys and delivery efficiency and maximizing engagement and profitability and obviously subscriptions. And because the subscriptions are so important, because they are just such a predictable profit stream, and shareholders love that stuff, right? I mean, hundreds of millions, if not billions, are going into R&D. I just came across a number and I was really surprised. For a company that only turns over 92 billion, last year alone, Sony spent 4.6 billion in R&D.
Wow, that's incredible.
Sony already are building data structures to aid ray tracing and predictably for the PlayStation 5. It was in one of their reports. It's about 200 pages, 200 or 100 pages, something like that. Anyway, it was like really interesting to read. And no doubt, obviously, Microsoft and Nintendo are on the same track. And I would say that you guys know John Lineman, right? And he put out a tweet a little while ago, and I think he was right to a degree that these console launches should have been delayed. It should have given Cyberpunk a bit of breathing space, right? And and they could have been more suitably launched. He obviously knows a lot more than he can say, and we all know that now, right? Because now they've come out and they knew about the Series X, Series S. Was it back in March? They had the teardown.
Yeah, back in March they had the actual information. They actually had the video done for it already.
Yeah, and he. But at the end of the day, I think I've got my thoughts on everything that's occurring. Right, I'm just surmising and hypothesizing. Where nothing I'm saying is really true. And in summary, what I think about Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, I think they've all got fantastic value propositions, right? Maybe all three business strategies can coexist, right? Even though there are clear similarities and clear differentiators. Or maybe there is a clear winner. It's all up for debate at this stage. And at the end of the day, it's all going to pan out, right? Like an episode of EastEnders. But most important factor will be who delivers. Obviously, sorry, I didn't know you were a fan. Who delivers experience.
I'm not.
I think the most important factor will be who delivers consistent experiences that blow the public away, right? And I've got more to say, but I think I better just stop there.
Do you think they should have had a staggered launch?
A staggered launch in terms of like one release?
Pre-orders, sorry.
I think that, look, I don't know if you guys know the toy industry. There's a company called Hot Toys, right? And I used to live in Asia for about 5 years. I lived in China, Hong Kong, and obviously spent time in Japan. Okay. And what happened is that a new figure would come out, and the pre-orders would go and say, look, for the first batch, pre-orders would go in, everybody would pre-order. And what you would get a ticket to tell you, right, because obviously they're coming off the production, they're not stockpiling them, they're stockpiling them over months. So the first month's batch would come in, and depending where your ticket was in the queue, and because you expressed an interest, they would tell you to come in the first week of June, second week of June, third week of June, and so on and so forth until they fulfilled all the orders. But at least you would know when you can go and collect your figure, and something like that would have worked. But I don't think that none of them thought to do something like that, to say, listen, look, you know what, we've got batches of systems, we can't deliver them all. We're not stupid as consumers. We can very well understand production processes, shipping processes, logistics. These used to be alien words to gamers of the 90s and 2000s. They aren't anymore. And I sometimes feel that we get treated very ignorantly. I can't think of another word at the moment, but and I think if they'd explained it like that, we would have gone on, we would have ordered, and based on where we were in the queue or whatever, however the systems worked, we would have been given a say, hey, look, guys, these people are going to get them in November, and yours is scheduled for the first week of December. We could all live with that, right? Because we know when we can get a hold of one. But I think that, as I said to you, I just think that they, for whatever reason, they tried to push these systems out really early and for Christmas. And they only have to look at Nintendo and the Switch. Nintendo wanted to launch in time for Christmas, but they knew they didn't have enough. And their financial year end ends in March. So does Sony's. And Microsoft's ends in June. So they could have still hit the financial year end targets, and like a Nintendo did, by releasing a little bit earlier. But obviously, maybe they panicked, or maybe they just thought, look, we need to be first. I have no idea, right? But obviously I think it just could have been handled a lot better. And again, I just point to the John Linneman's tweet, because obviously he knew more than he could say. But obviously we're seeing the mess that both companies are in right now. Well, I wouldn't say a mess in terms of how we feel as gamers, as some of us being, feeling a little bit left out and not knowing when we can actually get our hands on a new device.
It does kind of pick up one aspect, because you have hit a little bit of a nail on the head. If they are rushing these products out, we could see the issues which we had with the One X and with the early PlayStation Pro, with certain devices not working. That's definitely one of the worries I have in my mind, is that I'm getting one of the first batches, but what stops it from not working?
Yeah, I don't actually believe the Series X is going to have a problem, because from what I understand, that Phil Spencer and certain members of Microsoft actually had them in their homes. I don't think there's a problem with them consoles, because they were testing them for months at home playing games. So I don't think there's that problem. But
they did that with I'm sure they did that with the One X, and yet there were still apparent issues with some of those.
Can I just say something? Say something? That there's a big difference between playing a prototype at home and then playing something which has come off the production line.
Mass market. Yeah,
you are right. Let's do some quick shout outs, because a few more people have popped in. Newcomb, thanks for popping in. Thanks for stopping by. Warmy Hood, thanks for stopping in, mate. What else we got? I think I've got it all. Oh, and welcome, Dragon Wolf. Is Flamish in here?
Yeah, I just spotted him.
Welcome, Flamish. Thanks for stopping by. Xeno Killer Impact. Thanks for stopping by. I just got some shout. Thanks for stopping by, guys. But no, it's just. I mean, you're on about the staggered process. I mean, do you think? I know this would be hard, but do you think, like in each country, like they should have given a Pacific shop a time to go live, or do you think that would have caused the same problem? If you say
That would
8,
still cause.
you're at 9, you're at 10. No.
Still would have caused a problem because let's face it, we saw what happened with the PlayStation launch. I've still got a gut feeling that PlayStation said, "Here's when you're supposed to release this," and some of the retailers went, "Nope, I'm doing it now," which then did a cascade effect across the board.
I think what they should have done, they should have gone back to how Sony should have gone back to how it was. They should have launched in Japan first, America, then Europe, like they used to do. Then they've had plenty of PlayStations.
I fully agree, but I don't understand I mean, PlayStation are the console leader. I just don't understand it. This is my point of view. How PlayStation's bread and butter is Europe. I'm sorry to say, if anyone thinks anywhere else, their bread and butter's in Europe. And I know it's only a week, but they're actually in America, Australia, etc. have the console first. Now, I know the plan is to dominate. They want to dominate America this time, but their true fan base that have supported them is in the UK and Europe. That's where they dominate. They're leaving them in the dark for a week. Yeah, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but to a loyal fan base, it is. You know.
So what you got to understand is, like, at this present time, and Sony's will keep like this. Sony is not bothered about Xbox in Japan. They know they own that territory, same as Nintendo do, because Japanese companies always support Japanese products. And that's the way of the world. That's the way of the world. And of course, America is Xbox, so they will support them. So Sony's not bothered about Japan. So, I mean, Xbox is always trying to get Japan, but I'm afraid to say they will never get Japan. That is sewn up by Nintendo and Sony.
I think one way they can get Japan, and it's the same with South Korea, is because our internet, so your internet might be good, Warwick, or VJs or whatever, but it ain't a patch on what a lot of these Asian countries have got with, say, the xCloud. I mean, I know a lot of people ain't a fan, but it's an option. A lot of them gamers love tablets. In Japan, consoles don't sell very well. Most gamers game on tablets. So the xCloud option, and even the fact that if they got PlayStation controllers, they can still use the xCloud service with their big tablets and play on the controllers. And from what I understand now, they're actually even creating touchscreen controls for the tablets, which I don't agree with. I prefer the controllers. But that will be an option where they can attack the Asian market because they love tablets.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say they're ever going to dominate there. I'm just saying they're trying to sneak in slightly, you know.
So what you got to understand about Japan is if you go to Japan, if you get on the plane, you went to Japan today, you could go into any shop, an electrical shop, and buy a cell phone or mobile phone, right, which will be 5 years in front. So when America's 5 years later down the line, they'll be getting the phones that Japan's already getting today in 5 years' time, because the tech is that far in front of what we have got. It's unbelievable. So Japan, to me, is a safe bet for Sony and Nintendo. You know, Microsoft, I mean, we had all the trouble with the Xbox One, didn't we, when it come over there? I mean, there was people going in, there was stacks and stacks and stacks of Xboxes, and no one was buying them because they are too loyal to their own brand, and that's how it's always been. So,
yeah, you are absolutely true. Thanks, Rob Tanner, for stopping by. I appreciate that. But no, you are correct about Japan. It's a different market, but you can build audiences in that market. I'm not going to ever say that they will dominate, but you can build audiences because Xbox are trying to build up relationships with Japanese developers and bring games over to there. It's not an easy process over in Japan. You know, because it's the West. They don't a lot of them don't like Western companies, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Do any of you guys think that the xCloud will make any a slight dents in the Asian countries that are big on tablets and high-speed internet?
It's a backdoor entrance, isn't it? Let's face it. It's going to be a backdoor entrance. And to be honest with you, the xCloud itself is all dependent on every individual country's basic core fabrication. Core structure. So, England, depending on where you are, if you're in the cities, it's pretty good internet. If you're about 45 minutes or 2 hours away from the cities, it drops off and you almost got dial-up in some cases.
Oh, where I am, I've got about 35 megabyte a second.
Nice.
But I know where Ricky says he's slightly better than mine,
So it all depends. It depends on the infrastructure of every individual country. Now, I'm picking up the point where VJ says here, where, obviously Microsoft is looking at pushing these subscription-based elements to be almost, as you said, it's going to be online 24/7. It's going to be an xCloud sort of system, and it's just almost be like a patch to the box that you have. And again, whilst they can cut down the latency, whilst they can sort out the software aspect, again, it's going to be hampered, and this is for every country, by their own infrastructure. England isn't brilliant with its infrastructure. It's lacking quite a bit in its infrastructure in some areas. We are trying to be world leaders when it comes to the main big cities, but we really struggle the moment we spend about 35 minutes outside of those cities. It comes more like into politics. Other countries like South Korea, they've pretty much sewn up their infrastructure. They know what's going on. They want the best, sort of thing. Same with Japan, as I think Warwick, you were saying. They're pretty much they're pretty good, but they still have rural areas that aren't brilliant. I think they're almost a bit better than England.
Yeah, I think they are. Yeah, a lot better.
See, what you got sorry.
Go on, VJ, please.
No. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just teeling off anyway. So it was literally. I think this. If I can see where Microsoft's end goal is. Yeah. Because they are, they are trying to. They will become a software company, and to be honest with you, we may even get to the point where they subsidiary the hardware out. I'm not saying they probably ever will do that, but I think they're generously focusing on the online market and where it goes there. Yeah.
So I think that Xbox. We've already talked about this, but Xbox are looking to basically get back in the game, right, in the video games industry. Employing tactics successfully already employed by Microsoft Office, right? We see that, right? They have no choice but to disrupt the status quo and radicalize the industry, especially since they're third. Then they are third. But adding a service like EA Play, is it, to Game Pass at no additional cost for the moment. Let's get that on the table, because on this show that Netflix have had a massive increase, right, over time, and they will increase it. But it's at the moment just the EA Play. Forget about the Bethesda deal. That's what's leaving a lot of gamers starstruck at the moment, especially invested. Heavily invested, right, into the Xbox ecosystem, and they've got nothing to complain about, right? Xbox just keeps on giving, right? Then you've got xCloud and Game Pass, and that's going to be free, right, to sample via mobile. And I know that is happening via the N20 devices. There's no doubt going to happen by the Duo devices that Microsoft are going to put out, and it's available via the SK Telecom, right, in South Korea, right, that are also allowing a 3-month free access. And this strategy has been deployed in South Korea specifically, and not everywhere else just yet. And I don't blame them, because I think they want to try and see what works, what doesn't work. But this may entice, what Microsoft are hoping for, that this may entice, not just today, but over the next few years, is entice a whole new demographic of gamers to purchase an Xbox Series S, right? Maybe an X, but let's focus on S, as at the very least, right, for users, to lure users in to become a mobile Game Pass subscriber at no cost initially. I think is a really good idea. Idea Xbox, and I've spoken to Indie Gamer about this, is a fantastic initiative, because I think there's a ton of games there that you can enjoy on a mobile phone. You don't necessarily need to play it on a big screen. Driving the ever-increasing quality of indie games, I think, is also important for the long term, and who knows where that can take people. Making these as many games as possible via Game Pass day one, or via digital purchase if you want to buy it. I think that a lot of games on Game Pass, people laugh at the indie games, but I think a lot of them are perfect for a mobile device experience. And Microsoft's strategy as a whole right now is very broad, right? And very brute force, very similar to how they've designed their actual system, right? In terms of multiple points, systems and avenues to market. But Xbox, what they've got is they've got the revenues to achieve, they've got the resources to achieve this, right? However, I've always got concerns in terms of how they can create, and I think that's more part of what the second question that Stubbs has got lined up for us. But to answer your question, we have to look at like what is Microsoft really trying to achieve, right? Going up against Sony and Nintendo, and you can now access the hardware, right? And this is really important. And hundreds of games via a really low monthly subscription fee, which I think is really appealing. But I don't know how well that panned out in the UK. It kind of panned out here at launch, but it's something obviously that's going to sort of has to be ironed out, so it's more accessible. But it's a definitely an extremely sensible business strategy, right? It's almost like a perfect gateway drug to get into gaming if you've never always been able to afford to do it. And then believe me, there's millions of people that can't afford to get into gaming, right? And you only have to look at India, for example, right? Piracy is rife there, right? They don't own consoles there, right? China's completely different. There's so much red tape there to not just get your system launched, which is relatively easy, but getting games approved. But I'll try not to go off topic here. But the invitation to Game Pass is key. A large library of games that are going to get easier to access via mobile devices. Xbox continue to demonstrate and market the value and benefits of an all-digital, I don't know what you want to call it, a playground buffet, and while providing access to a sort of an a la carte menu to third-party titles, right, that aren't necessarily available on Game Pass day one, because obviously Ubisoft, there's not hardly anyone left, is there? And EA, right? Consolidation's gone crazy. And Xbox, I think, are focused definitely, and Sony are focused on reducing physical media sales down to at least 10%, if not down to single-digit percentages over the next 18 months. So new physical games in Japan, going back to what Mr. Warwick was saying, in Japan, they don't even have an appointed distributor in Japan, Microsoft. It is 10 people in an office that act more like a liaison office. And they don't really do any marketing over there either right now. So if you want to buy an Xbox, you'll probably have to import it or buy it from Xbox there, and then get a hookup to to the Game Pass or the Xbox store and buy digitally. And obviously, we know the features that are driving people towards digital. You know, the quick resume feature, which is big for me, and I can't wait to use it. Right, and that's pushing me towards buying digital games more so. But obviously, the 15 first-party studios that Xbox have got is now what? Is it 23 or 24? Sorry,
it's 23. But I think there's more. There's more to come, because Microsoft CEO has came out recently saying they are willing to make more acquisitions if need be.
Yeah.
I know you're talking about xCloud now. I want to touch on PlayStation Now, because the streaming service from Sony, they stream the games directly to the PlayStation off the network. Now, I actually stream the games to my PlayStation. I actually then stream them live on Twitch and all of our platforms, and I've never had any kind of lag issues with that with PlayStation Now. So I'm not really good ginned up on xCloud, but I use that network so I can actually stream it to my PlayStation 4 Pro and then upload it to Twitch, YouTube, or whatever when I'm live streaming, and it works a treat. So it can be done.
I think what the thing is, I mean, I could be wrong, but the improvements you're maybe talking about, Sony did sign a very lucrative deal to use Microsoft Azure. They could be using Microsoft Azure for it now. I could be wrong, but they signed a very big deal to use their Azure servers now. They might have flicked over, and that might be why you're seeing big improvements. I mean, I could be wrong, but
I think the big thing is we're talking about Asia here, right? And just to give you an idea how far Xbox has fallen, right, or how much Microsoft has allowed themselves to fall back. I think in Japan right now there's 9.2 million PlayStation 4s. For Xbox One X, Xbox One and One X, right, it's only 125,000. That's compared to the 1.5 million Xboxes that they sold over there of Xbox 360, right? And this is why they can't go head to head with Nintendo and Sony and outsell them on hardware. They just, in America, they can, because this is, let's be honest, this is Microsoft country here, right? And the vast amount of territories in Asia. This is why I'm saying that Seoul is really important, and this relationship with Samsung, because Samsung right now have more devices in Japan now than Apple do, right? And remember, they're both foreign companies. Remember, they're both foreign companies. They're not Japanese companies, so it is possible to be successful there. But I just don't think they've ever had the right personnel to actually lead what it is that they wanted to do in Japan. And they've worked with several developers there, but they've always left a sour taste in people's mouths. And that's the problem. And it's very difficult to get trust back. It's not that the Japanese people are sort of, don't like anything outside of the US. They embrace the Western culture. What it is in Japan is that they have set rules and ways of doing things, right? And you have to respect them and do them in that way. But I can imagine a US company historically going in and saying, hey, look, we're from America. We're the biggest. You do it our way or there's the highway. And Japan will often show you the door. And that cultural difference, bridging that gap, paying your respects, wanting to enter into that country, they are very, and Korea is very, very similar in that way as well. I spent time in both places. And
this is why the Samsung deal is such a big impact, because they are going to basically have Game Pass on their Samsung devices, whether it's a TV, whether it's a tablet, and that will be updated instantly into Japan. And which means it's there. They don't have to do, as you rightly said, they don't have to worry about, ticking the boxes. They've already found this backdoor entrance. And then it's kind of up to Japan then to choose whether they wish to utilize it. But it's just there. That app is already going to be on. It'll be a straightforward update to a majority of their latest devices. Bam, it appears one day on their TV screen. They'll be like, oh, what's this? There you go. You've already got something, billions of people looking at it.
Absolutely. And how many times a day do you look at your phone? And the thing is, what Xbox have to do, even though they get people engaged and they have a look at it and they trial the free period, it's they have to curate the games that pop up on screen, how they look, and let people know that, hey, look, you're trying Game Pass. It's only $10 to $15. And the people that are accessing it, like you said, via the Samsung devices, it's about converting. It's about the conversion rate and the strategies behind conversion of those users from the free trial period and that are engaged to turn them into subscribers, right? And then those subscribers telling them, listen, look, you're paying $15, but just for an extra $10 a month, you can have a console at home as well to enhance your gaming experience. And strategies and the way that they curate the software, the games that pop up in certain territories, the IPs that are relevant to those territories. I mean, it's a massive job. It's not just Game Pass xCloud. And if they haven't already built these strategies and designed them and how they're going to get the conversion rate up and so on and so forth, I'd be shocked. But it's Microsoft at the end of the day. But I will say one thing. The way that Microsoft is set up this time around, I know that the Xbox 360 sold about 83 million, and the Xbox One X, we've lost count because it's at 45 or whatever. But they're definitely set up this time around to eclipse those numbers, right? If they stick to what they say and they can regain the trust, and more importantly, build that brand globally. Because at the moment, like Stubbs said, it only really is big in the US.
I think you've actually hit on a good point here in terms of trust, and this is really probably for everybody, including Warwick. Because I think Warwick, you're a bit more of a PlayStation fan than most of us here. Do you feel right now that PlayStation has slightly burnt you a little bit?
Yes, I have. But the way I look at it is this: Sony never likes to be left behind. And the thing is, the way I'm saying, I know they bought this big deal out with Bethesda, and it's a damn good deal. But the thing is that there's nothing saying that Sony couldn't buy companies like Capcom, Rockstar, and stuff like that, and build them into their own portfolio. Yep. So, they've got the option to do exactly the same as what Sony has. I mean, Xbox has. Yep. This is a problem. See, now in fact, Xbox is actually gives Sony a kick up the bum. They said, right, do something. And now they've got to have to retaliate, and they're going to have to come back because Sony doesn't want to get rid of its own market share. Because I mean, they've built this market share lead up over the years, and they're not just going to give it away just like that. So I'm assuming they are going to come back with something. It might be Konami, because they're talking about they're going to bring out a remake of Silent Hill and stuff like that. Now, if I was to buy Konami and then have Hideo Kojima make Silent Hills, they've got a good winner there. It's the same with Capcom. If they got bought Capcom, they can actually take over the Resident Evil franchise and have that exclusively on PlayStation. There's so many things that Sony can do if they want to. And
do they have the funds for it though? I know
they haven't got
pretty heavy hitter.
I know you brought up a big heavy hitter there, Warwick, with Rockstar, but I'm sorry to say that would be serious money. I think to acquire Rockstar games, you'd probably be talking in the region of 50,
it's
10 to 50 billion.
But what you got to understand here is, for the last 10 or 15 years, Rockstar has said to Sony, we're going to make you an exclusive. Because years ago, they had that game called Agent, didn't they? It's going to be a Rockstar exclusive for PlayStation, and it never materialized. But now they've still got this deal with Rockstar saying, you've got to make us a game. So I know Sony hasn't got as much money as what Microsoft have, even though they actually do everything. They're into films, music, any gadget on the high street is owned by Sony.
But that's kind of reduced over the years. It was, you got 20,000. Look at the actual MP3 players. They owned the actual CD devices. They owned your personal disc, but that has slightly reduced. And this is where I think like stuff like Samsung have now kind of kicked up. And what worried me was that PlayStation's almost focused their eye. I think maybe they're just focusing, instead of doing a broad range as they did previously. I mean, you had your Sony TVs, you had your Sony soundbars, you had your Sony headsets, you had your Sony everything. It was always there. In the last 10 years, I'm seeing less and less Sony devices, and I'm seeing more Sony in terms of almost game studios, consoles. It's almost like they're starting to refocus their attitudes on particular elements rather than maybe say have all their eggs in multiple baskets.
Yeah,
that's just my view.
Yeah, it's like when Remedy got bought by Microsoft. I did not like that, because I was a big Alan Wake fan, and it was going to be on the PC when it first started.
Remedy. Only the rights. I don't believe they actually got bought by them.
But when I first heard about it, I thought they'd own the company. But then they realised, hang on a minute, you're bringing out Control on Xbox and PlayStation. So obviously it was not, didn't own the studio. I mean, the thing is with this Bethesda deal I'm talking about.
We'll talk about this in a minute. It's a big topic. We will.
Okay. But the thing is, are they 100% owned by Microsoft, or because of Bethesda? Because the simple reason,
let's skip topics then. I'll get it up.
I think we've all been trying to go towards it, to be honest with you. All of us wanted to
because the way I say it is this: Bethesda have already stated that they are going to publish their own games, which means they can publish it on PlayStation, as well as Xbox.
I will say now they will say that for the first 2 years. Now here we go. Microsoft Microsoft have announced the acquisition of ZeniMax Media, the parent company of Bethesda Softworks, and has expanded its first-party portfolio, which has already grown exponentially over the recent years, but several major AAA studios in one single move. According to Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, who we all love, the deal is worth $7.5 billion US. Now that's from what I understand, they've acquired all the studios, and although they say Bethesda Publishing, I believe that because Microsoft own Bethesda, even though it's called Bethesda Publishing, that is now owned by Microsoft Publishing. So,
there was a picture on.
This is my stance on it. Yes, the games. I know I've clickbaited the title a little bit about the PS5. That was a bit of a joke, but for the first 2 years, or the games are already planned to come out, you'll get them. But not everyone's going to agree with me with this one. But I think slowly over the next few years, some of the new games they're building that ain't signed contracts for, that ain't out, I think some of them will get plopped onto the Xbox and PC only.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know who agrees with that, but gradually they will do it. I'm not saying every title, because Elder Scrolls is bloody massive. So,
well, 4 guys with quarters picked up on a big thing. They said, why buy a publishing company when you already own a publishing company?
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Also, sorry to put in. Welcome, Matt Barnes, and welcome Invader Game. Sorry, I missed you there. Yep. Sorry, carry on.
See what the thing is now. I was watching a lot of videos about this. Now they bought Bethesda, right? Now they've already said they're going to keep these 2 deals with Sony. These 2 games they're going to have time exclusive. Yeah, but the problem is until they make these games like Starfield and stuff like that. All they can do at the moment is put old games onto Game Pass. They can't put no new ones because they've got exclusive. They can't put them 2 games until that exclusive deal took off.
Yeah,
so they could do DLC. They could do a lot of DLC.
They can put all past and present, just not the timed exclusives. But when
that's what I mean. I mean, at the moment,
they can
for 2 years, or I don't know how long these deals have got. With probably a 12-month exclusive deal on these games, but for 2 years, Sony is going to have these games. So they're for at least for 2 years, they've got all Xbox has got is back catalogue.
For those particular games, it may not necessarily mean games like Starfield, for instance, which are still in development coming up to release. It's only those 2 games. That didn't also pick up DLC, which they may still be working on a variety of different games, which is under that banner. Like, for instance, Doom Eternal, they've already going to release the Ancient Ones DLC. I think they have already. I'm guarantee you they'll probably have another couple more DLCs. They've already mentioned that they're going to do, in some cases, a spin-off, I think. 100%, not 100%, but I think there is a lot more in there. It's just that it's not being announced. So whilst you're right, it may not be full-on games quite yet, and that could change over in the next year or so. There could be a plethora of DLC.
Yeah.
Now, if to be honest with you, I don't like exclusives. I've never really found. I can understand the reason behind it, but I don't really like it. I think if they want to curry favour with a lot more people, timed exclusives is the best way, regardless, even if it's DLC. I think I'd like to see even if it was exclusives and this whole Bethesda buy off. I'd like to see Microsoft, and I know that people may not agree with me, but I'd like to see Microsoft say we've got a year deal, or we've got 6 months. And then it goes to other publishers. Also because it's going to bring revenue in. Let's face it, money's money, and they're after money after all. And B, I don't think it'll. I think it also bring a bit of goodwill to gamers in general.
Yeah.
Oh, stuff. Can I just, Mr. Tucci, in there?
I think he's
gone for a Stavlai.
He's probably. He's just not spoken a while. That's all.
So all I'm saying is, don't get me wrong. I love this deal because I'm a big Elder Scrolls fan. I'm a big Doom fan. I'm a big id Software fan. So all these games for free on Xbox Game Pass, I'm loving it. But the thing is, what I'll say is this: don't write Sony off just yet. Because, because the thing is, they can do exactly the same as what Microsoft is doing.
And this is the kind of worry is now. Have they set a precedent? Which means it's then going to be a race for acquisition.
It's an acquisition war.
Yeah.
Who can we buy up?
It's not that. You've got to look at the makeup of the 2 companies, right? See, and we'll go into this more into the second topic, but Microsoft as a corporation have traditionally grown by inorganically, right, through acquisitions. And you only have to go to Wikipedia to see how much money they spend. And then you've got Sony. And also, look, they've got 23 studios, but obviously some of the studios have got multiple teams, and we're not privy to that. And also you've got Sony, who have got, 15 studios, and also some of those have got multiple teams in. And Sony and Nintendo, how do they grow? They very rarely make acquisitions. They prefer the organic approach. I mean, if you think about it, $7.5 billion, that's $1 billion a studio. Are you telling me you can't create studios? And that's the fundamental difference between Sony and Nintendo. They're incredibly creative. They have a creative way of producing content, hardware, and devices, where Microsoft are traditionally more of a company that is production led, right? And hence you've got the problems with Halo, and I think that's one of the reasons why they're keeping hands off of Bethesda right now, because they're not the best at mergers and acquisitions, and then they've learned from the past. And right now they need to observe and understand how that company operates over a period of time. You cannot just go in. And I think there's a guy called Luke 90, right, who's been on a couple of podcasts, and he's in mergers and acquisitions, and he will tell you himself that lots of mergers and acquisitions often fail. And everybody that's raised questions today, they're valid questions, and whether they go exclusive, whether they go non-exclusive, whether it's time DLC, whether they take new strategies to sell more hardware, I think there's a place for all of those things, and all of those come into play over the next 5 years or so. Because you have to look at Bethesda, right? They haven't got the best. A few of the studios have. Tango Softworks, and I think the one in France, the one that's producing a Deathloop, they seem to be much more budget driven and timescale driven, where some of the bigger franchises are run a little bit more like Naughty Dog, in the sense that, hey, look, you've got a time, you've got a vision, you've got the product, but it's got to be the best that it has, and there's never any time frame, right, when those games are going to get delivered. And I think that is one of the biggest culture shocks that Microsoft, and I think one of the hurdles, regardless of the amount of money that they paid, which we can go into later as to why it's worth it or why it's not worth it. But yeah, they've just got very different approaches. One's organic, one's inorganic, and one's very creative. And Microsoft's problem has always been, they've not always been very, very creative. They're just a very production-led company and a very services-led company. So you've got very, very different cultures in both companies. And, you know, whether it's Bethesda today, you know, or whether it's, you know, Sony tomorrow, or Nintendo announce Zelda tomorrow, you know what it's like, right? Just today's news is tomorrow's fish and chip newspaper wrapping.
Yeah. See, what the reason I say this is because, like you said, remember a few months ago where Sony bought into xCloud, didn't it? And that's to use their network. Now, Microsoft does not want to hurt Sony, because after all, they are, you know, they are partners. I mean, Sony owns a patent on the Blu-ray drives in the Xboxes, so they are against each other, but they are our partners as well. So why would Microsoft allow Sony to buy into the xCloud network if they was going to say, right, you're not going to have any more of these games, we're having a full exclusive, that's it, you're gone. So there's a lot more to this. I mean, they do games for Nintendo as well. So this is all, you know, rubbing each other's backs all the time. So they're not actually at war, as a lot of people might think they are. They are business partners. They're there to make money, even if it looks like they're not. So, you know.
Do you know what I think about the let them do the Azure deal? I think it was to stop them making their own infrastructure, keep them behind xCloud.
But the thing is, the way I say is, like to do so they don't do their own network. That's fine. But the thing is, Sony must be doing something as well. It's going to help Microsoft. I mean, they both help each other. They're not. I mean, you only got to hear Major Nelson say, you know, we're not enemies. We're partners. We're business partners. So, you know, all this, you know, Xbox hates PlayStation. No, it's crap. The fanboys crap. Our partners are here to make money, and they're both companies are here to take as much money out of your pocket as they can. You know, that's.
I think it's like the comments that were made a while back. A lot of people misinterpreted the comments when Xbox Phil Spencer basically said that their competition is Google and Amazon, and people misread it. And what they meant is, in the cloud gaming space, if you don't own cloud tech servers like Amazon and Google, although Sony is in the cloud space, but they're a customer of Microsoft, that is why they said their competition is Google and Amazon. It's because they're the companies that they're against, and you know, in the corporate world. And the servers, you have to own your own to be treated as one of the big boys. And then Sony rents off them, and they're a partner. That's why But a lot of the fanboys took it as, oh, well, they think they're above PlayStation. Wasn't the case. It was in reference to cloud gaming. It was because Amazon are coming for cloud gaming. They all are. After a matter of time. That's what it was meant as. Would you agree with that, VJ, though, as well?
Yeah.
You know,
Sorry?
Would you agree with, a while back when Xbox mentioned about who Xbox's real competition were, and they wouldn't mention PlayStation? Do you think that was still with the cloud because Amazon own cloud, Google own cloud, and Microsoft own cloud? Is that what you think it was meant?
No, they're extricating themselves from the narrative. That's what they're doing.
Oh, okay.
Right, because at the end of the day, if Sony and Nintendo go and sell another 150 or 200 million machines of the ps5 or whatever Nintendo's doing next, Game Pass has already tried to get onto those hardware systems already, right? And remember, Microsoft offers services, right? And Sony doesn't have to go to Microsoft. There's just that Microsoft offered them the best deal. They could have gone to Google, they could have gone to Amazon, and there was something else I was going to say is that no, it's gone now. Alzheimer's. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, right? It's for corporations. If they can help each other out, they will. If there's money in it, if there's not, then they won't. It's pretty ruthless, right? These guys, right? But they've also, the thing is, the audience, the customer base, the demographic that they target. If this was a corporation, if they were they've got 220 million subscribers, right, for Microsoft Office, right, and 40 million of which are consumers, right, and they're all paying $100 each. Now, at the end of the day, from a consumer standpoint, is because any move that they make, it immediately goes onto Twitter, right? From a consumer point of view, we're very, sort of tribal in that sense. But if the other 180 million sort of corporate companies that they've got, if they wrong anybody or if they upset anyone or put somebody's prices up, they don't take to Twitter, do they? Right? It's just the gaming audience, us consumers, we're very sensitive in that nature, right? In terms of reacting to every single bit of news that they put out. Probably because we ain't got nothing better to do. But
money wins over grudges.
Yeah, well, money
to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, well, it definitely takes the sting out of being poor. Tell you that. But
exactly.
But yeah, at the end of the day, I think at the end of the day, there's deals to be made, and Sony are making their own data structures, and they are making their own centers as well. So that's definitely happening. But how far behind they are and when they will actually launch, I don't know. But it was in their recent report that they're already investing into that because they know it's important. They can rely on Xbox, but they're obviously wary that Xbox could turn around and say, "Sorry, not happening today." Right? If it serves their best interest, if they're making more money by increasing their install base, by having more software that goes to market, they'll just switch the tap off, right? I mean, these things do happen, and they happen constantly. It's just that we don't monitor the medical industry, right? We don't monitor the motor industry, right? But I bet you any money, if you went and had a look at those and see how ruthless those guys are at the top, and even at middle management down the pyramid, is that we haven't seen anything like that in the gaming industry, other than maybe some of the efforts that Take-Two and EA do, right, when they occasionally pop up in terms of how they treat developers. You only have to look at Obsidian, right? They were hand to mouth, right, through Bethesda, through Take-Two. They were all hand to mouth, and the one bad game from going away, right, until Microsoft came along. So Microsoft is doing a lot of good for the industry as well. And you have to understand, if they're going to engage, if they really are going to engage 3 billion users and bring a mass audience to gaming and to console gaming, do you not think that Nintendo and Sony are going to benefit from that as well?
Yeah,
most definitely.
One thing that does kind of pick up is
in a minute. I'm really confused here, right? You know, I told you guys I was turned down for all access, yeah, when I got through. Got an email, so I've been declined, yeah. Also, the finance companies set up a direct debit for the Xbox. So now I'm really
if you've got a receipt, if they've taken money, that could be classified as your receipt. Double check.
I was declined, and they set up a direct. Now I've got a message from the bank saying your direct debit has been set up, and it's the finance company for the ones that are doing the all access. But they said I wasn't allowed to have it. But now they've set up the bank details. So I don't know what to do. Do I cancel it or do I leave it?
Get in touch with them.
Yeah,
Get in touch with them.
I told you the moment they said they took debit, they classified you as debited. That is almost a receipt. The system's gone through, and so in the way it should be now is that Smiths should then honour the deal because they've ticked the box, they've taken your cash. I'm not saying
I'm looking now to see what they've done.
One thing that does kind of hit home back onto this Bethesda deal sort of thing is, I really hope Microsoft doesn't do an E&A. I hope because I really hope they don't do an EA where they just bring them in and they start fiddling with them and it just their productivity goes down the pan.
Yeah.
I think as VJ said, he said they need to keep hands off. Maybe the odd we'd like this, but they should really just back off. They've got something, let them do their own thing.
Right, now I'm going to say something now. Now, when I heard this deal about this Bethesda, now I heard Sony Xbox got it. It's not because I'm a Sony fan, it's because of what
Just to
Sony...
clarify, people, Warwick has an Xbox One X. He has got an Xbox.
Yes, but the thing is, the reason why I'm saying this is because of what they had problems with Lionhead Studios, Fable, when they closed them down. Because to me, when they buy a good studio, and if that studio does not perform by bringing out decent games, they close them down. Now, is this going to happen with Bethesda? This is what's worrying me. Because
I think that was the previous leadership, though.
Yeah,
I'd like to think Phil's different from what we've seen from Phil. I think he's a little bit more intuitive. The previous leadership was, you don't perform, you're out.
Yeah.
I've got some controversial thoughts in that regard, but we'll get to it.
No, we might as well say it now. Go on.
Roll with it.
I'll laugh on the Bethesda thing. Yeah, I'll let everyone else have their say first.
Do you want your say, Mr. Tucci?
That's it.
All right, Mr. Tucci. Where is he?
Mr.
Are you there?
I reckon he's stuffing his face with a Mackie D's as we speak.
Oh, Mackie D's and a Savoy.
I think he had a chicken.
He just put himself on mute. He's obviously up for something.
Do you know what? We could have been absolutely shouting for the last 25 minutes and not realised.
Are you there?
Speak of the devil.
Hello.
There you go. What's your
Can you hear me?
thoughts on this whole Bethesda deal?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey. Personally,
now, guys, I'll get your thoughts in a minute. Also, let's just add one extra thing in from the Bethesda deal that people ain't highlighting. It's the tech that they've also got from the deal. It's called Orion, and it's a technology for next generation streaming. Because apparently, according to Windows Central, Microsoft owned streaming tech Project xCloud is prone to its own right, as it only streams up to 720p at 30 frames per second. However, this new tech that they've acquired can do 4K 60 streaming for gaming. So, with that in the mix, Mr. Tucci, what do you think?
well, I'll start off with the first question. I personally think they're going to. Well, obviously, Sony have their deal with the two exclusives. Get that out of the way, and as soon as that's done, they go straight into Game Pass. Personally, I think they're just going to literally every single game is going to stick on Xbox and PC. They're after the big numbers. They're after the billions of gamers. They're not going to do that by sticking them on other consoles. They want the gamers on their own ecosystem.
Yeah, and I agree with you.
I think when the new Elder Scrolls come out, it'll be Xbox exclusive, Fallout 5, and so on. The next Doom Eternal 2, or whatever it's going to be called, exactly the same.
So, yeah,
you're right.
Because I think a lot of this Xbox is. I mean, the reason I say it is I think the Microsoft CEO's got a lot to do with it. The aggressiveness, because I've heard VJ mention on I don't know whose podcast it was that
he's on all of them.
Yeah, Microsoft was basically the biggest product is I think it's called Microsoft 365 subscriptions.
Yep.
The end goal for Xbox at Game Pass is to eventually the end game 2 years away is to have everyone Xbox digital and locked into the subscription model,
Yep.
and the physical will be gone. That's the end goal.
It will be the end goal for everybody once the infrastructure is in place.
Yep.
It's not at the moment, but it's just an option at the moment. It's a brilliant option. I can tell you that. Anyway, onto the tech side. I can see that as one of the things that caught their eye regarding buying the whole deal was because of that Orion. What do you call it? The tech for streaming, like because of they can produce like higher frames, lower latency as well, isn't it? I believe running at 4K as well.
Yeah, but apparently it says here who are leading develop for this. They've demonstrated it. Apparently, they've demonstrated Doom 2016 on this technology running at 4K, 60 frames per second, running on a smartphone, and it was shown in the presentation. So it's pretty impressive.
Thing is, with phones, the text there. My screen's a 4K 60 screen on there, so the text there already. So if they've got the tech to push the stream to the devices, it's a win-win.
This is why I said, I think, from a previous podcast, if they partnered with GeForce Now, because their streaming device is absolutely solid. On their GeForce streaming now, it is, wherever you go, even it seems to be, even on your 4G, I never had a problem with it. xCloud, depending where you was, it did seem to stutter.
With xCloud, at the moment, I have a 600 meg connection at home, and I have no issue with xCloud at all.
Yes, Jesus Christ.
Tom just dropped on the floor.
You've just wow, 600.
I used to have a 15 meg connection when xCloud first came into beta, and it was all right on slow games. But when I played Halo 5, it was absolutely impossible to play. But when I upgraded my internet, purely because of xCloud mainly, I went on Virgin. I paid the same price and getting 680. I get the tops. And
you must have fiber optics in your. It must be. Yeah, it must be. You have fiber optics in your area.
Oh yes, top package. Well, apart from I haven't got the gigabit isn't available here at the moment, but it's close. But anyway, I only pay 40 quid a month for it as well.
That's cheap for Virgin Media, from what I've heard.
Yeah,
but remember, it only happens where you've got fiber optics, and not many places. Oh, okay, I'd say probably about 30%. 30% of the UK. Yeah,
because most of the country's got this bit where they pay for the rollout, but what they actually did was they left the copper wire in, and they literally stick fiber optic cable on the end of the copper wire in the box. It's not true fiber; it's a bodge job. But they got the deal.
It isn't.
It's with sellotape.
Stubbs, do you remember that time where I'm not going to say where I live, but remember that time when I had that little place who never had any internet and they bought their own network?
I won't say where it is, people, but where I live, in the area about 20-mile radius, there's an estate that's full of really posh houses. No,
the Regis,
where the rich people live, yeah, and they all have a 1 gigabyte connection.
No, it's not one. It's
is it 1 terabyte?
It's a terabyte. Terabyte down connection. And a terabyte up.
Jesus Christ!
And what it is, they couldn't get BT to come in and actually put a network in their street, so they got all the money together. They built their own they've got these big green boxes outside the estate, and they got a terabyte down and terabyte up, and there's me about 500 yards away, and I'm still stuck on old BT. I'm gutted. I was.
But so back to the xCloud. Since the new internet now, it's absolutely flawless. I use it in the truck when I'm on a night out on 4G. I get no issues. And the thing is, because I've got PS Now as well, whenever I use that, even with a 600 meg connection, I can't play a fucking game on there.
Oh yeah. Oh. Surprising, because like I said earlier, I stream it, so I don't know how it works, but then again,
how much
upload you got and all that on it? And all that
about 60.
I don't know then, mate. But like I said, I've done multiple streams where I stream PlayStation.
I'm not as impressed anymore. 600 down, but 60 up. Oh.
Yeah, it's half and half, isn't it? No, with PS Now, I played Uncharted on there, and it was just stuttering loads. But when I played Daytona USA, that kind of worked, but it was still stuttering. Like when you see on the screen, you turn left next to it, you're facing the wall, and like you've crashed. I even bought a year's subscription, and I don't even use it anymore.
Yeah.
But I'd love to try
with infrastructure. You know, if the infrastructure is not there, it doesn't matter. You know, it's all these. I think both Sony and Xbox are looking towards the next 10 years, and they're going, where do we need to be? And both have slightly different ways of going about it. In the end, though, every gamer. I mean, Jesus Christ, the games we've got in last year alone.
It's incredible. I do personally believe this is going to be the generation. Tell me if I'm wrong. Where, say, you're a PS5 gamer, you might pick up the Series X, and say you got the Xbox One Series X. This gen, you may pick up a PS5. I think this is a gen where more people will have both consoles. I could be wrong, correct. But you know.
Stubbs. The thing is, the way that people are, Xbox gamers usually buy an Xbox and a PlayStation. PlayStation guys, they just buy a PlayStation only. But I think this generation around, it's going to be evenly 50-50, not 50-50, but I think more PlayStation guys are going to buy more Xboxes this gen.
I think so. Because like we were talking the other day, because actually earlier via WhatsApp, and we were talking about how the Xbox Series S hasn't sold very well, and everyone's laughing. It's because it's actually not meant for the people that pre-order. It's not meant for the hardcore. It's meant for the parents that are impulse buying for the kids for Christmas at £249. Now, come Christmas, you won't be able to get an S for love nor money. I'm telling you that there'll be bots buying them up soon. They'll be waiting for them to be completely sold out, and all the parents and people for Christmas will be after them, because soon the marketing when that comes out, the marketing for the S, I could be wrong, is going to be ramped up to the max about this Game Pass, and you can play COD and FIFA on it, and that's who they're aiming at. And Fortnite, they will ramp it up to the maximum. But apparently, I don't know much, but apparently the Series S actually costs more. They lose more on that than they do on the Series X. Apparently,
really,
that's what I've heard. They lose more money on the S than they do the X.
Yeah,
so I had a similar sort of thing. I had a similar sort of thing for the PlayStation's diskless drive. In fact, they're actually they prefer you to go for the diskless drive because they lose a bit more money on the disc version.
Shops don't.
No, Sony might.
I had a story of Flemish where he said that he went to his local shop, and they actually had a go at him because he wanted to buy a PlayStation Digital. He said to him, "What are you doing? What do you mean? You won't come if you buy a PS5 Digital. You won't walk back through that door again. Are you trying to kill us and all this and that?" Apparently,
that was a very small outlet, though.
I know
they're working on small margins.
Yeah, but there could be more than that though. Doing it, you know.
What do you think? Why do you think I won't go to game shops no more?
I haven't been game shops in a long time. They're asking you go through the door and they're on you.
2012, last time I bought something out of them.
I know.
Never again.
You want a new game? I want it new. No, you sure you don't want it pre-ordered? I mean, pre-owned for $5 or less. No, I want it new.
Do you want to buy this Mad Catz controller? No.
No.
It's like me with the Xbox. Now, I haven't pre-ordered a Series X or Series S because I've got an Xbox One X, as Stubbs said earlier. But the thing is, in a couple of months' time, I'm going to get a top gaming rig. So I can still get all the lovely Game Pass games on my PC. And in a couple of years' time, when Fable comes out, then I probably will get myself a Series X when the price goes down. But at the moment, I can't justify buying one at the moment, because if I get a game rig, I'm going to get it better anyway. So
I mean, you know, they're not really. If you're on PC, you want to play their games on PC. You know, that's kind of what they want. If you want to buy the game in PC, and that kind of fits into their business model. You know,
does that mean that Fable's console exclusive then?
But I do believe though you'll miss out on the medium, because from what I understand, the medium's actually an Xbox Series X exclusive. It's not
correct. I think it's timed on
I timed it.
console. I believe.
Well, if it is, it is. But like it says, I mean, the thing is, I should be. I'll get the best of both worlds. So you know, to me, it's bringing all the games to me. So I love it. I love it. I mean, I will still continue to buy things for Sony if they don't, unless they don't book their ideas up. But I'm loving it. It's saving me a lot of money. So,
For this generation, the winner's been the gamers. Let's face it. Regardless of what platform you're on,
100%.
the winners have been the gamers. You've got people who are struggling for money at the moment. The prices, and we've got to give props to both Sony and PlayStation. They have put in very competitive prices, and they have helped, I suspect, a lot of families who are struggling to get the next generation. I think this will be the intake from a lot more people. Generally, I think they both have. Whether they've done it, I suspect they probably haven't done it out of the goodness of hearts. It's more competition than anything else. But this generation has definitely been one of the best prices, and I probably don't think we've seen a good price like this. Since 2013, maybe? Anyone?
but when you say a good price, the thing is, I've said this with Stubbs a few times. I'm worried about the SSD external drives. How much they're going to cost?
They've actually released that now. They've said it's 100.
Which console are you worried about?
I'm worried about, primarily would be PS5 because I know you can get 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, and a 3 terabyte cartridge.
You released their prices on the SSDs now.
Well, how much are they?
159 quid.
£159.
What's that for one? One
terabyte.
That's still a lot of money, though. That's still a lot of money.
Yeah, but
well, not really. If you look,
people ain't thinking about it. The Series S is cheap.
Yeah.
But to get the memory you actually need, sometimes you might as well just buy the Series X. You know what I mean?
Mm. The thing is, because it's on NVMe SSD drives, how fast? I know because it's new PC technology. But the thing is, it's going to be, you're going to have to bite the bullet because remember how many games you can store on a 512 stick. Well, 3 or 4 games and it's full. So you're going to have to get a big SSD drive to plug into it sometime, and it's going to cost you a lot of money.
For what I
not necessarily.
hear on the PS5, I could be wrong. This is all rumor and speculation from people that have claimed to be insiders. There is no expandable SSD for the PS5. You have to go into the PS5 and physically remove it and put a
I heard it was interchangeable.
Yeah, interchangeable.
I thought there were slots at the back.
Yeah, but I've heard that you can't actually buy them. You have to take the memory. I could be wrong, but what's surfacing online, you have to open it up, remove it, and put the higher one in. Well,
it's like PC Stubbs. I mean, PC, them SSDs, NVMe's, they actually sit on the motherboard. That way, there's no latency. There's no between like a USB hard drive or a cable. You've got latency between from the unit, from the cable to the machine. But when it's on the motherboard, it's 0 latency. That's what they want, so they can get 0 load times. That's the reason why it's on the motherboard. So,
and let's face it, the SSD is going to come down in price, regardless of what it is at the moment. If you look on Amazon now, I know it's not as SSD regards to the actual console, but if you look on generally in terms of SSDs, they're around for 1 terabyte around the £100 mark, which is about $120. You imagine the amount of people who are now going to be rushing out to buy these SSDs. They will drop in price, and before long, I suspect probably by March next year, you'll be able to get a 3 terabyte for 160.
I hope you do.
I hope we do. I just want to get on another point. VJ, sorry we escalated there. Did you have any more points on Bethesda?
I actually got a point, but it's a really long one. I don't know if I've got time for it today. So.
Oh, crack on.
Sorry?
I said crack on.
Oh, sorry. I didn't catch your Stubbs there.
Well, you can do it if you want, or not. It's up to you.
It's incredibly long. It might take about 2 days to read it all.
Okay.
So, but yeah, no, it's been really good today because it's getting late over there, right, in England. I don't know what time you guys go to bed.
It's 11:30.
It's 11:30.
Yeah, we'll be up until about 3 a.m.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I've got it.
I always turn the show on before Xbox Beyond the Box
starts.
I don't. It varies how the chat's going. People seem to be liking the show tonight. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. It's been a fun chat so far. Definitely.
Gaming difficulty with cerebral palsy. Just actually asked a question. Says, can I plug my current external SSD into my Series X games and all be GTG?
No. Not the games. The games on the SSD which are available now, probably. But you're not going. If you want the speed, you have to install them onto the hard drive. I'm assuming. In turn,
can I jump in on here?
Yeah.
That's correct what you said. All Series X games will have to run on the internal SSD or a proprietary memory card. If you've got an external SSD, you can leave all your Xbox One games on there, plug it in, and if you want to load, what I've heard is if you want to load a game from the external SSD with your Xbox One games, it can transfer within seconds and start playing instantly.
That's the non-volatile memory express for you, very fast.
Yeah. One more thing before we change subjects. It's on the PS5 SSD, internal SSD. Would you really want all your customers stripping the PlayStation down to bolt a SSD to the motherboard? Really?
I know what you're saying, but remember the PlayStation. Remember the PlayStation 4 Pro and all that. It was very easy to take the top off. Maybe they do it so you can actually upgrade it without voiding the warranty, because you don't want to get the old screwdriver in there too much.
No, fuck that.
No.
Can you imagine it, like everyone's on YouTube trying to figure out how to do it and stuff?
Or I could do a video. So you've got to put the screw in here whilst holding this button there. Use the blue tack to push that open out of the way. Then you can get the.
Yeah, but there will be a option for PS5 expansion, but at the moment there's no tech out there that can do it. Even like a 400 quid external 1 terabyte SSD top speed, it still won't.
Because when
work.
When they first announced the PS5, you see them little cartridges, 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte. Oh, this is going into the back, just like a little memory card.
It's because they picked such an expensive SSD, the fastest in the world, that they think they went a bit too far there. They should have been slightly slower.
5.8? Is it 5.8 gigabytes per second?
5.5. Do you know what they should have done? They should have stuck to. They should have dropped the speed down to 3.5. 3.5, you could pick up any SSD off the shelf, the NVMe one, and just plug it in. They're easier to find than a 5.5, which ain't even out yet. I think it was a stupid mistake.
That's what's worrying me, because they might be trying to get you to say, well, you can only use our SSDs, nobody else's.
Bingo.
It did take a long time for PlayStation to allow third-party hard drives on their PS4, didn't it, Warwick?
It took a while, yeah. They had to have an update, yeah. But the thing is, you can't like daisy chain, say 1 or 2 or 3. You can only use one at a time, which is a bit of a bugger.
So why could you not then? And this is probably a question for everybody here, because this is a question: could you not get yourself an SSD hub and connect it? Admittedly, you've got that connection.
There'd be
a slight latency through your main connection, or you make it to the point where, at least for the on the Xbox, we've got the SSD slot. Could you have an SSD hub which connects straight to the SSD slot? Again, it's a little bit of a minor.
The thing is, there'll be something. Some third-party company will do something so you can clip into the back of it somehow. There'll be something coming out. There always.
Yeah, true.
There'll always be something coming out to do something.
Also, the 159 price for the Xbox external, that's going with the going price of a 1 terabyte SSD anyway. So I'm happy with the price. I was expecting 100, and that was my expectations. I take a big L on that. I'm £60 under, but 160 ain't bad. I'm going to pick one up, I think, for now.
That's what I said about people who buy the Xbox One S. I mean, it's $299, but it probably if you chuck another $200 on there, you're going to have some decent storage with it. Oh,
definitely. I mean, the problem is the majority of people that buy that won't think about that. I mean, the majority of them will just play Fortnite. I mean, I'm going to mention Call of Duty, but no, it's fucking massive.
Oh, yeah, 100
gigabytes.
Well, actually, we can ask the Call of Duty master, Mr. Tushi, what is it currently at on the Xbox?
Last time I checked, it was 184 gigabyte on the Xbox One X.
Oh shit!
Well, the problem is, Warwick, do you know why it's so high? Because they force you to have Call of Duty Modern Warfare in Warzone. That's what if they'd removed it and made it a standalone
It's the same.
game, it wouldn't be long.
PlayStation. Because when I've got my Modern Warfare installed on the PlayStation, I downloaded Warzone, but I couldn't use it without the disc. Unless I install it all out.
Disc cost one of them.
Oh. But yeah, I downloaded Warzone. Then I put the disc, and it says, "Oh, you must insert your Modern Warfare disc to play Warzone," even though it's a free download. How stupid is that?
Wow, that's
really?
Yeah,
I'm sure it's not like that on the Xbox. You know,
no, it's probably better, mate. But like it says, I'll get really now. On the Xbox, I've got my Xbox. I've downloaded COD on that. Works fine. Just click on it, it boots straight up because it's a free game. But
the thing is, though, there's a few things with the PlayStation and Xbox regarding downloads and stuff. There's one thing that PlayStation does, which I think is pathetic in this day and age. Is, say, for example, I had Spider-Man on disc, right?
yeah,
I installed it. I didn't play it. I thought, I know I'm going to love this game because everyone rages about it. So I brought it on download. So when I brought it on download, because I hate discs. When I clicked the button on download, I went to click on my install, and it wouldn't play. It says you don't own this.
and
So
also
each game has 2 SKUs every game. It's pathetic.
and also if you've got the disc version of a game installed, and then you download the digital version, the game save for the disc version is different to the digital version. It won't let you use it. It won't let you use it.
Isn't
So you
this
have
stuff
to-
quite
This is
concerning?
pathetic.
For PS5 digital.
But this is the thing. I say on Xbox, you say if I had bought Modern Warfare and I bought it and I had it on disc, I install it, I chuck the disc away, and I buy it as a download. I can just literally just click on it and it'll just play straight away. Anything, no issues whatsoever.
Yeah.
But on PlayStation, there's all these little fiddly things like there's 2 downloads for each game.
Yeah.
When if you don't own the right one, it's stupid because then I have to uninstall the game and install it again. Just to
Hopefully
play it.
it's something they once they let the PS5. Hopefully this is an issue that they've corrected. Hopefully.
Yeah, in the chat,
Well-
Matt, I totally agree with you. They're going to be crazy expensive.
Well, especially I think that
Yeah,
might
Matt
change.
Barnes. When they release these prices, they're gonna, it's the internet's gonna break.
1 terabyte. I'm calling
We'll be
now.
rushing on 500 quid.
I would-
Go on.
I wouldn't worry because I reckon in the next year or 2, PlayStation will do their own PlayStation Play Pass. It'll be the subscription version of Xbox Game Pass.
You're
Integrated
determined
with
to
Game
call it that,
Pass.
Doing that Play Pass.
You're in the Play Pass. And
Do you know
think,
what?
boys,
I'm trying to hold it.
Do you think, though, boys, one day we'll ever see a thing where every game is on a single platform?
That would
Doesn't
be
matter what-
incredible.
I wish.
So Sony, Nintendo, and Xbox all doing the same game. So I just don't know what platform you got. They've all got the games.
That will only happen if they focus on being software and they export it out to a hardware company. So you have an external hardware company who will create the box, and then everyone then it could be like your TV, for instance, and then your service, either PlayStation, Nintendo, or Xbox, will then be placed on that. And then you'll have, I think that's where it's going to go. It's going to be your TV will be your device.
Yeah, as long as you don't let Apple use it, do it.
Definitely.
No, exactly.
They've
Saying
got no
that-
third-party devices on that.
On this topic, me and Stubbs tweeted about this on Twitter, and we even lost followers. I lost a load of followers because I said I'd love to have all excuses playing all games.
I made a video.
on
and
our console.
I triggered a few people. I just
Yeah.
put, and if you actually heard the video, I did say, in an ideal Fantasyland world, I'd love a console where you could play all games and there was no exclusives. And I did say after, in reality, this would never happen. But obviously, people don't like to hear what they hear. Oh, you're fucking living in, you know what I mean? All this and that.
Yeah, I got
it
some.
indies, but it's called PC War. But yeah, but the thing is that
It is.
legit or is that emulators and ROMs?
True. Yeah. You could, yeah.
Oh, you can do it on PC, no problem.
Swifting topics.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Does everyone like the fact that I'll talk with VJ here? Do you like the fact that Xbox has finally got a share button on the new controller?
Hang on, but still my heart.
I think that is a question for Mr. Tucci.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sushi.
Yeah, it is. Right. With the share button, I think it's a really good idea. PlayStation done it first, which was good as well. Because on the Xbox, you have to press the home button and then you press Y for a screen capture or press X
it's
for
annoying.
a video.
Yeah.
But I think there's 2 games I know of, what I've noticed, but Outer Worlds is one where if you press the home button to do a screenshot, it takes a screenshot of the pause screen. So it doesn't really work on that one game, but most of the games it works fine. But with a share button, you're just going to press one less button. That's all it is. But it's a good idea.
My question to that is, now I've got an Xbox One X. I haven't got a share button. How do I do it?
You have to you'll have to hit your X power button, and it will come up with 3 options: screenshot, record the last 2 minutes or whatever you set it as, and then share.
Okay. Here's another question for you. Now, this share button, is Microsoft going to do a built-in streaming thing like they did with Mixer directly in the interface, like Sony did with their sharing their live streaming from the PlayStation? Because before it was done by Twitch, wasn't it? A Twitch app, or you could do it through Mixer. Now, do you think they're going to integrate a system where it's directly in the interface?
What platform would you want streaming? Because if you're going to
mention
what
it's going to be, it's going to be Facebook, isn't it?
No,
because
they've already said that. Because people are asking, well, does that mean that Facebook gaming is going to be all over my Xbox? And Xbox said no. Now, if anyone's going to say, is it going to be YouTube? My answer is 100 billion% no chance on earth. Google and Microsoft.
Say it was then.
Microsoft.
I would want
vice versa. They're corporate enemies. It will never happen.
So what do you think it's going to be then? Twitch?
It'll be Twitch. Just be Twitch again.
Well, Twitch actually does still work. It actually does.
Trovo.
It is kind of hidden slightly, but actually, if you I think, has anyone actually thought? What's the recent news that come out? Is what's people's thoughts on this? You can download a game on Xbox without owning it.
This is an excellent idea. Do you want me to go with this one?
Yeah, you go for it.
I've just got to shout someone out, someone new in the chat. Welcome, Apex Chief. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, you can run with that if you want.
Right then. Imagine, for example, you're short on cash. Payday is on Friday. It's Wednesday, and there's a game that's coming out, and it's 120 gig, for example. You can download the game a couple of days before, and you can't. It'll come up on the screen like normal if you don't own it. Come Payday, once you pay for that, once you bought it, you pay for that license, you can instantly fire it up straight away. Same with when something comes out and get you safe. For example, we know Doom Eternal is coming very soon to Game Pass. I could go on the App Store, download Doom Eternal, which can be done now. We can download it, and then once it comes on Game Pass, I can play it straight away.
Oh, that's good. There, mine now. I ain't played that yet.
Nor me. I can't wait for it.
Me neither.
But I would on PC, because if you see where optimised that game is on the RTX 3080, it's better 200 odd frames per second or something on full ultra settings. It looks amazing.
I can believe it.
So optimised. id Software have done such a good job on it.
Well, I just recently watched. I can't think of who his name was, but he was doing with the RTX 80, and he was testing out 8K gaming on a specialised PC. And I was like, 8K gaming, because there's some 8K TVs out there, and I'm like, is this what's going to happen now? The next every 2 years, it's going to be 8K. 2 years time, 16K,
8K is away,
32K.
8K is what PC is in at the moment. I mean, you're not going to get an 8K console. playing. You're not going to Xbox Series X. You're not going to play 8K games. That's not going to happen.
chance.
That's not going to happen in the world. You
8K
get
video, maybe. But that's
you'll
about
get 8K Netflix, but you're never going to get 8K games. No way, because it's not fast enough. So
You'll be lucky. Maybe Limbo.
yeah,
The black and white.
yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying is at the moment the generation jumps, or I should say the visual jumps, are coming so quickly, so swiftly. Keeping up with that is going to be hard for either company.
Mm.
You see how I mean, you think about it. 4K. That's kind of come in the last probably 2 to 3 years. 1080p or 1080p was 5 or 6, or even probably 5 years ago, 5 6 years ago. It's halving. The time in which these jumps are happening is halving and halving and halving and halving.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's going to get to. The worry I get is that it's going to be, say, 5 years down the line, it'll be okay. The next console is going to have to go to 32K.
Yeah.
You can see that with the TVs. They're jumping very, very quickly. I bought a QLED 4K about 2 years ago. I was lucky enough to get it, and now it's already out of date. The new one's got variable refresh rate. The new ones have got, Dolby Digital. It's like they are and even trying to. People aren't made of money, so people, the general population, keeping up with that is just you're jumping from almost one extreme to the other.
Thing is, the majority hasn't moved up to 4K yet, so I won't worry about 8K for at least 10 years.
See, what you've got to understand is, most people, even the big streamers, don't stream at 4K or 1440p.
No, it's
they stream
1080p.
They 1080p because most people won't be able to watch the streams because it gets all stuttery if they haven't got a decent connection. So there's no way on earth they could actually upload in 4K and stream it that way. They wouldn't be able to do it in this not this day and age anyway.
Well, even creating videos in 4K, the absolute data, the absolute, if I do a 1080p video, it can be around probably 2 or 3 gigabytes. If I do 4K, that's doubled, trebled.
I mean,
in terms of data alone.
Nice, but it's for streaming. 4K is not on the horizon for a long time yet.
Oh, most definitely. Welcome, War Stew.
Thank you for the invite.
Invite? You messaged me saying, let me in.
That means he really wants to say something.
He's got something to say. Come on, then.
Yeah, he's going to say, I'm now 100% Xbox.
I'm going mute for a minute.
I just got another Twitch subscriber.
Is that what you've come on to tell everybody?
No, I've got nothing to say. That's all I've got to say.
Oh.
Really?
Well, didn't you have a particular conversation with someone? I saw you tweeted about. Was it Warner Brothers? I think.
Oh, Warner Brothers. Yeah, that was weeks ago now.
Oh yeah. Warner Brothers. Them, of course. Those peasants.
They actually blacklisted me.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
but not anymore.
Oh, okay.
That's what the meeting was about. But whilst I was blacklisted, that had nothing to do with WB Games. This was WB Studio, completely different division. But yeah, it was just a misunderstanding.
Right, meeting. Did you go down and see them, or was it like a conference call?
It was a meeting. Well, because of the pandemic, they're not doing face-to-face meetings. No, it was like a meeting call. Very weird though. You had to dial a number into AT&T and then dial a password, and then like literally had to dial 4 different numbers in once I find it. Very interesting. But that's not what I had to say actually. That's
right then. Come on, what you got to say?
All ears.
About what?
Oh,
you said you weren't something to say.
Before you came in.
Well, no, I seen you were streaming, so I thought I'd come in.
Oh,
So,
what's your thoughts on the pre-order then? Either platform.
and have you pre-ordered any of the consoles?
No, because I've got a PC.
Oh yeah.
Win-win.
my opinion on the pre-orders. I don't think either company did well.
Ooh.
Because
I mean,
I know people
absolutely.
personally. I know people personally that tried to get the X that couldn't get it, and I know people that tried to get the PS5 and couldn't get it. So it's like Xbox told you when everything was going to crash, and PlayStation didn't tell you when everything was going to crash. So did either do better?
Yeah.
But I don't know, because Xbox messed up. Well, it wasn't Xbox; it was the retailers. They didn't release the stock in some places in the UK till later in the day, and yeah, it was a mess. I think they both did it badly, but they never could do it in a good way.
And as I said to Stubbs earlier, Warstone, there's 5 PS5s on eBay right there for you to get hold of.
There is.
I'll be going through eBay, reporting each one individually. Don't
You got to
worry.
drop
See,
4 digits.
This does confuse me. I saw numerous people on Twitter, and they were like, "Yeah, I've got my second pre-order, I've got my third pre-order, I've got my fourth pre-order. I've ordered both systems." And I'm like, "Dear God, how much money have some people have got?" And it's like, why do you need multiple devices? What do you need for
Scalp them, isn't it?
exactly? And
Premise is saying in Belgium, where and the Netherlands, apparently the X is still available.
Wow.
Well, the S was available on Amazon last night till 10 p.m. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Does no one want the S? I don't know.
No, it's for the casuals and the people. By the time the launch comes, you won't be able to get an S or an X for love nor money. You won't. Because although it's all pre-orders, shops will buy stock for people that want to try and walk in day one. They buy additional stock. They will.
I don't know if you'd be able to walk in day one. I don't know.
Oh no, I mean it's very risky, but I do think some shops will put stock aside for people to walk in, because people would try and get it anyway. I'm telling you.
But didn't they only have like 10 units anyway in most small places?
Yeah.
Like, speaking to people over in America who I know, they said most of the shops had 10 to 15 units.
It's the same here.
It's the same everywhere for both consoles, really.
Whereas VJ said I think they woefully underestimated, and they really should have possibly paused for a couple of months and did a release then.
VJ
Try and
couldn't get
the
PlayStation.
supplies.
VJ couldn't get PlayStation or an Xbox, you know.
Really, VJ? You couldn't get a PlayStation?
No, it's murder out here. Honestly,
Unluckiest guy in the world.
We're just completely unprepared. I'm okay. I'm not like crazy about getting things first like I used to do when I was younger. But it was just really interesting to just see how poorly managed or this launch was. They clearly needed more time to stockpile enough units to, have a decent launch. But for some reason, I think both companies had their knickers in a twist, right, and had to get it out for Christmas, which I don't think they had to be quite honest with you.
No, I think I agree with you. Actually, they could have done a February, March. They could have done. Yeah. They could even done staggered.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you guys because of something PlayStation did that I found very weird.
Say what they done then. That's very weird.
Well, personally, I can see why they do it from a business standpoint, but I don't see the point in putting Horizon Zero Dawn 2 on the PS4.
Oh, I knew it was coming.
No.
but I get it from a business standpoint. I get it. They've got 100 million units, so that's potential customers for PS games going to PS4. But I don't agree with it. But if that's what they want to do, then let them. But you're saturating the people that want the PS5, and now they're like, well, I don't need to buy the PS5 to play Miles Morales.
I think a lot of that war stew is to do with like The Last of Us, mate. Because remember, Last of Us was actually a PS3 game. Then it went on to PS4, and then, like I said, people want Last of Us Part 2, so they had to put it on the PS4. It will be on the PS5 in a remasters version.
What's your view, Warwick, after being lied to by PlayStation when they said that only new games will go on the PS5, then they put them on the PS4?
I know what you're saying. I know
it's not lying, though. It's not lying. No one knew what their real intention was.
Oh, I know, but they said that Jim Ryan made a point of telling people that our games will only be on the new system.
No, I think I think lying is a little strong. Withholding pertinent information could be laid at Sony's doorstep. None of us have actually parted with any cash, right, prior to the announcement.
And it's still 2 months out.
Yeah, and although we've been provided the information a little late, we still have to, we still had time, right, to make personal choices and decisions. And even if you have placed in pre-order, you're well within your rights to cancel it, right, if you want to. And I think the announcement that Sony are remaining multi-format across PS4 and PS5, which makes total sense since they...
business-wise, yes.
Yeah, because it's not that. It's because PlayStation 4 is their golden goose right now. And if they'd announced the fact that they were going cross-generation earlier, I think Microsoft may have positioned the $299 price point even lower, because we still don't know how aggressive. Now, Sony are going to easily sell another 10, 20 million PS4s, and we still don't know what they're going to aggressively price point that machine at going forward, right? And I think that going at $299, I thought that Microsoft probably thought that they were going to be able to cut in and curtail PlayStation 4 owners, right? Because if you look, Sony have to carefully shepherd, right, those 110 million, and they're growing, right, which may rise to 150 million. They have to carefully shepherd those across the PlayStation 5. And the certain PlayStation 5 games will be $70 that needed to be also rolled out at this point, right, alongside the PlayStation 5 pre-orders going live. I think that Sony are doing absolutely the right thing, and we don't know how much resource they're putting in, right, in terms of tearing down their engines and rebuilding them, right? I mean, just have to look at the God of War documentary, right? How long that God of War took. So I think they've got really no choice. Otherwise, I think they'd be in a lot of trouble going forward.
VJ has hit on a big point actually as well. The $70 increase. Now, again, I'm probably being immensely thick here. Is that PlayStation 5 only games at $70, or is that being agreed across the gaming genre that from now on $70 is going to be the new next generation games?
What I see, the PS5 and the Xbox are, well, in the UK, they're £65 each. That's $70.
What? They've gone up.
Yes.
Oh, fuck. Well, I didn't think we would get affected because we were already at 50, weren't we?
Yeah,
55,
but I've looked around the sites and the games, the third-party games like NBA and all that, they were priced exactly the same price on PlayStation as they are on Xbox.
I didn't think we would get hit by it, but
No, I think we will. I think if we're going to increase the pricing of games, it needed to be done now, right? To sort of avoid a PR storm later down the line. True. It's not so much about the games releasing now. It's more about, and I'm talking about PlayStation 5. It's games that are releasing further down the pipeline in 12 to 18 months. First party games can cost more to make. The reasons why can be a different topic for another show. But what I will say for now is that we will see a range of pricing, right, from first party, because I think that there's certain games that are 60, right? I've forgotten what they were called. There was a couple of others, but you definitely can't see everybody's golf coming out at $70, right? And
on screen.
And many games that cost $60 now, forget about PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, are not worth $60. Resident Evil 3 being a prime example. Other titles like Zelda, Dragon Quest, or Persona 5, which I play, they give me hundreds of hours of engagement. I would happily have paid $80 to $100 for those, versus my perception of, say, Yoshi's Island, right, which is done in about 6 to 8 hours. I feel begrudged having to pay $60 because I don't think that game's worth more than $30 to $40. And I put a tweet back out in June, and I think Japan's got a really good system because they've been paying anything. And I'm not talking about platinum or classics or anything like or secondhand. I'm talking about new releases. They have been selling games to consumers depending on the genre, whether it's made just for the Japanese market, something like Captain Tsubasa. They've been paying for games anything between $45 to $85. That's the price range since PlayStation 2. And as a recent example in Japan, I think Ghost of Tsushima was $70, $71. Call of Duty that's coming out for PS4 is going to be $83. And Japanese PS4 games range anything between $45 to $95. I think the question again becomes a personal one. Does one size fit all? For me, it doesn't, right? And I think that going forward again, right, you're not forced into buying those games. But as I said, there are reasons why games are going to go up in price, right? Why development costs for certain games is higher. Could they absorb those costs for the fact that they're going digital, and versus 15 to 20% of games being digital back in 2013 to now being 70 to 80? And it's in Sony and Microsoft's financial reports, and they are making, if you just take a first party game that sells at 60, they're already making $27 more than they would versus selling that same game for $60 through GameStop or EB or Game or whatever.
Well, history has taught us two things. This price of increase has happened, as far as I'm aware, since I've been gaming 3 times in my life, and at every time that it's been tried to be pushed, and this was at the time when it's physical media. Now it's slightly different with the digital, but every time it was a physical media, it damaged sales because people couldn't afford it. So what people did was they would normally buy 2 or 3 games, and this was obviously physical side, and that would be it. When the prices went up, that reduced to 1 game, which meant it hurt sales across the board. The difference being here is this is a digital media, and both systems are offering potential different alternatives. So it's almost as if they are ramping the prices up so that you are pushed towards the subscription service.
Well, I'll tell you what, with you telling me the prices, Warwick, I mean, Flemish is saying it's supposed to be £74 a game, he reckons.
Yeah, but it's not for every game, because if you look at
But that's pushing you more. That's pushing me more towards sticking with Game Pass.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, but the thing is, this is just the launch of consoles. These games will come down in price. They will come down in price. Yeah. Shops, with each other or trade, the prices will come down. They're not going to stay there.
I mean, new game releases in England. Okay, let me tell you this way, right? When I was in England, new game prices, right, they drop very, very quickly, right? Within
a month, normally.
In North America, I think in Germany and France, the structure is very different because retailers normally buy games at full price, and what they do is that they get a quarterly or annually rebate. It's a completely different system. But I know in the UK, price wars happen really quickly. But in the US, retail price points hold. And I thought that with Miles Morales and Horizon Zero Dawn 2 and God of War most probably coming to the PS4, it's just to strengthen the umbilical cord between and the transition between PS4 and PS5. You've got to understand why they're doing it. And PS4 has a lot of life in it, and it's an important and strategic in relation to the PlayStation 5 transition, which I've already said. And I think they're going to do huge amounts of business on PlayStation 4 going forward. I think that Sony will be rinsing every single cent out of that console and its huge catalog of games, right? Historically, they've known exactly how to see out a system. And I think Sony will have a very protective mindset when it comes to the golden goose in hand, because technically they haven't shipped a single PS5.
True.
And the thing is, Stubbs, what you got to understand is, I know you was right about them. Not, I said about it a bit that they'll have PlayStation 5 exclusive games. Well, they still have. They've still got Godfall. That's only on PC. That's not on PS4. So they have still got an exclusive game on it on for launch. So they have done that right.
But never heard of that.
You never heard of Godfall? Oh,
I'm joking.
But no, Indie Gamer, in regards to what he's just said about all the pricing going forward, indie games win again. Yep, he's correct. Yeah. Will there be any £74 indie games in there? I doubt it.
Well, to think about it, you could get yourself, and I am a bit like Indy here. You look at, I can get myself, if for one quadruple, A game that will provide me loads and loads of time, I could potentially get about 9 games that almost do the exact same thing in terms of quality, in terms of time, in terms of longevity as well. So it will help the indie games here, because people look at that and then they'll go, oh, actually, there's almost as good a game there, or in some cases just as good a game there for almost quarter the price. So yeah, I agree with Indy on this one.
Have you looked at the price of the next Assassin's Creed game? It's £79 on PS4, PS5, Xbox.
It's and digital, yeah.
I don't know about digital, but it's called the Gold Edition, which is the cheapest one, and it's £80 on every, even on the PS4, PS5. But then you look at like the other Ubisoft game, the Watch Dogs Legions is only £51 on PS5, PS4, and Xbox. So it's almost like the companies get to pick the price for games.
They're pushing what they think they get away with.
Because Amazon are that big, are they adjusting the prices and lowering how they feel because they're that big?
Well, it's like two companies releasing a new game. One's like £79, one's £50. So, I mean, I know Watch Dogs isn't as big as Assassin's Creed, but still, it's like that's like a £28 drop.
It is
for a new game. And I mean, I'm presuming the Assassin's Creed game is going to be a much bigger game, but still. And then you got like other games like Planet Coaster, PS5 edition, £39, Xbox Series X, £39.
What you got to understand is, though,
£39.
Planet Coaster, I believe it comes under the indie bracket. It does. It's not a big AAA game like that, you see.
But also, Warster, what you can understand is, mate, they're releasing 2 new consoles. They want to screw you as much as they can, so their games are going to be expensive when they first come out. But you wait till the middle of next year, so them game prices will come down. When people have got the consoles in their homes, they'll think, well, I can't afford $70 or $80 a time. The prices
subscription service.
There we go, subscription service. But like I said, they'll have to do something because people ain't got the money. So
you're right, Ulrich. You are. You know.
On this subject, does it make Game Pass look very attractive?
It does to me. The prices.
I'm all right. I would have got it.
I could actually.
I
I think it also, whether we agree with it or not, it also probably makes PS Collection look and the PS subscription service look good. It's generally across the board. From what I'm seeing, is raise the price of physical higher, push people towards digital. You know, we've seen the push for digital increase phenomenally in the last 2 years. I think VJ would probably be best to help us out on this one, but I think it is a concerted effort from all platforms to push digital.
Yeah, but the problem with that is, Bud, is I've always had this problem with digital. Now, with music, like you can go and buy a track for say 79 cents or $1. That's okay. But I always say is if a digital version should be cheaper than a physical disc.
I agree.
You get a box, you get a disc, you can trade it in afterwards. If digital was half the price of a physical disc, I'd be on board. But until they comes to that stage, I'm not interested.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm my biggest worry is not the actual cost. While that is a worry, there is no law, as far as I can tell, that will ensure that once you have bought a digital media, you will continue to own it regardless, even past your death.
It's true.
You know, there is nothing I see so far in the law that states you own that product.
I've tried to find things on it and to do with like, you should be able to, I mean, it opens up a big can of worms, that subject does. It's like your iTunes library, your music library. Yeah, can you pass it on to relatives when you pass away? As far as I can tell, there's no you can do. Yeah, VJ's heard anything. Have you heard anything on that subject?
It comes down to copyright law, doesn't it? I mean, when you buy a DVD or you buy a Blu-ray movie, you do not physically own that property. You've bought a license to use it. You haven't bought it. You do not physically own it. It's due with copyright law. And I was just thinking it'd be the same with digital. You don't physically own them games. You're just buying a license to use them.
And they can revoke it if they want to.
Yes.
But with a Blu-ray disc, they can't. I can put that in my system, and I can watch that regardless. I can pass it on to my kids and my kids' kids for the next 3 generations. Yeah. So. If I can do that with that, I expect to do the same thing with my digital. And that's what it should be like.
But couldn't they, I mean, I'm being a bit over the top here, but because most Blu-ray drives are online or whatever, if they didn't want people to play disc, is there something they could update the software so certain Blu-ray discs won't work? Or is that just going too far?
Definitely do something like that, yeah.
If they want to do that easy with a software update.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If the company wanted to go that far and the film got banned or whatever, they probably could do that.
That's what I think. That's why we need a law enshrined that once you own it, it is yours, or something along the line that keens. And because, as far as I can tell, you know, the law is outdated when it comes to digital media.
Yeah,
maybe I'm wrong, but I can't. And we are getting to the point now where I think personal, you know, some of us are getting a bit old, and it will happen. It'll be like, well, what's going to happen with my? I want my children to inherit my games. Nothing personal. I want them to inherit it.
Welcome.
You know, I want them to hold on to that media and enjoy them. I don't want a company to come down the line and go, actually, no.
Computer says no.
Computer says no.
Exactly. Yeah, computer says no.
Bearded Mac, hope you're doing well, mate.
You
The
know,
good
and I
thing
think
is, though,
go on.
I own like just under 700 digital games on the Xbox and 75 on the PlayStation, or digital. Luckily, I've never lost a digital license ever.
You see,
Thank God.
I've had the opposite. I've actually lost a digital license. So that's what kind of originally I didn't worry about it, and then I lost a digital license on a game. It was called Marvel's Heroes Omega. It was on the Xbox for a period of about 3 months. The gaming company or the gaming devs went under, and the entire game was wiped off the server.
Wow.
And I was like, bugger. And it was a good game, actually. It was basically the isometric version of Avengers, I would classify it as right now. It was a good game, but I lost all access to it. I couldn't get. It was title screen was all I could get to, and generally, I'm surprised as gamers, we ain't shouting together and saying this needs to be sorted out. And I suspect it is only when it really hits everybody, when we start losing particular games or particular media, then we'll kick into gear as a gaming community and go, wait. But it's getting close for some people.
Yeah. See, the thing is, digital. A lot of it is the consoles I've been trying to catch up to PC in a long way. I mean, PC. I mean, you go to Steam. Everything's been digital for years. I mean, these day and age, you don't go and buy a CD based PC game and put it in your system and install it. It's all digital now.
A long time since that.
Yeah, I know. But like he says, they've been trying to catch up with the PC tech for years, and now they're finally going to do it, but it's digital. But it's got to be done the correct way. And like on Steam, you can get some hell of a lot of bargains on Steam with cheap PC games and stuff. So this is the way I want it to be on console, and that's the way they have to go if they want to embrace digital market for the long haul.
Plus, the refund policies need to be like, if you want a refund, because Steam's got a very good refund policy, whereas Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo,
Oh, I knew that was coming.
You can. Yeah, but I mentioned all platforms; they're all the same, apart from the PC.
I must admit though, Steam has got a good thing on that, because, like it says, I mean, the thing with Steam as well. If you download a game, I don't know exactly what it is, but if you play that game under a certain amount of time, you can actually refund and get your money back.
They will.
Yeah,
it's a couple of hours.
That's true. That is.
Hopefully, it's 40 hours.
40 hours. You can play
like,
finish it.
It's not very long.
No.
But even with Steam, though, presumably they could still turn it off and you can't get access to it.
Oh yeah. It's
easily.
all based on their cloud. It's all stored on their cloud.
Is it just me? Am I kind of panicking? But doesn't it worry people?
No.
There you go.
I can see your point, because what you're saying is basically, if you've got a family and your kids use all your games, the worst ever happens to you, they're going to lose access to all them games. I can see the point. You know what I mean?
For instance, for me, I've got collector's items, I've got elements, I've got stuff that I'm going to pass on to my child. I've got stuff from my grandfather, which I dear treasury. It's one of the things I actually want to keep doing, and I want to pass on to my children. That's an inherent, maybe human trait, that sometimes you want to pass things on to your next generation and generation after that. And I just like to hope that could be the same thing for our digital media as well. It's not going to stop anyone, because let's face it, the digital media is always going to evolve. Like, we've had CDs now evolved to Blu-ray's now going to be upgraded at some point to a different media that's even better. So it's not going to stop people buying digital media. Your remasters, you got your remakes. People will always still buy upgraded versions of that digital media. So I don't see why the existing digital media should be whims of other companies once you've paid for it.
What you need on this is the, like on, for example, on Facebook, for example, when you die, you can have someone who can access your account when it's all set up. So
I've done
somebody
all that
else.
already.
Yeah, exactly. But it'd be good if you could do that actually on the consoles for your digital libraries.
We need to start making videos, peeps, and get articles out there and get slamming it in people's faces. But it's a big, massive topic that will take government regulations around the world for this to happen. Sadly,
But
It'd be an
it's like
uphill
loot
battle.
boxes. It's like loot boxes. If we don't shout about it, no one's gonna
It's true.
raise it.
The thing is, all they would do is if you say about transferring your account, say for argument's sake, you died and you want to have all your kids to have all your games on digital, all they would say is, well, they didn't physically buy them games, so we don't have to honour it because you're physically dead.
Yeah, not
But
that.
that's where I think that's what I think we need to protect.
I know
So
this
if you bought yourself something,
Yeah. The sad thing happens, though. I mean, I know you're saying all this and that, but if it did happen to you and you pass, whoever passes away, they don't talk about it. Xbox don't really check who's died, do they? Just keep using the account. See?
Oh yeah, they wouldn't do that. As long as you
It's not
keep
like-
paying, as long as you keep paying for it, they ain't bothered.
Yeah, they just keep the card going. You can log in and change the card or whatever. I mean, I know that's not the ideal situation, but
well, what
That's-
stops
that's-
it at one point when that card gets, it's under a different name. Your son gets remarried or and it changes the card. Hang on a minute, this is a different person. Bam, you're straight banned. We've heard touching
well,
stories.
you say
of-
that, but I can use my wife's card and that on my Xbox account, no problem.
Does
Don't
she
Is
know?
that
question
second-
it.
is
Yeah,
that-
but
is that-
It's
Same
registered,
surname, though, isn't it?
yeah, but it's registered the same address, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, it's just, you hear touching stories of I think I remember hearing, and this was probably about 5 years ago, where a young gamer, his dad passed away from cancer, and he was playing Sega Rally. And on Sega Rally, once you've completed a lap, it keeps a ghost of your lap, sort of thing. And he went back to his old dad's game, started playing it, and he realised his old dad's game's ghost was there, and it really meant something
remember
to
that.
him. And it really meant something to him. Now, those sort of things, those sort of little aspects. I know it's minor, but you'd like to hope that would continue. They're not going to tell him to. No, Sega's not going to go into his house, nick that Sega Rally, and throw it in the bin. And I think that's something we should generally. It should be something that could be continued. I don't see it hurting the companies. That's the problem. I don't see why it's not hurting the companies. Why can't we just have something that says it's yours? It will always be yours. It can be transferred over to your kids necessarily, when they want it. Thank you very much. You spent the money at the time. You gave us money at that time. Thank you very much.
You can actually, I'm thinking about this. If you've got an account, because it linked to your email account, usually a Microsoft email account, you can actually physically can change the name on the account and the address. Xbox won't normally flag it.
There is another way they could have done in the future. Like it says, if you've got all your digital licenses, there must be some way they could do something like to make your own sort of vault, so you can put all your digital licenses in it, and you can
That'd be great.
Then you could transfer the vault to help your kids or whatever. So this is the license. This is your vault with all your keys in it. You own them. You can do what you like with them.
Fuck that! I'm taking it to my grave.
Take them to grave.
I knew you'd say that.
Fucking too right.
I knew you'd say that.
I'm getting buried in my hard drive. I am.
Someone's just commented about something that Facebook does. That's why Facebook has legacy, etc., so someone can take over your account after you pass away.
That's what I meant. The legacy account.
Yeah.
Legacy.
Welcome, Stephen Middleton. Thanks for stopping by. Please hit the subscribe button if you're new. But no, it's been a really good show tonight. I think we're going to end it here because we could be here till 4 o'clock in the morning. I reckon we could be.
Mate.
It's been a really good show tonight. We had, I think, 23 people at once. It's really good show and engagement with the community. Where can people find you, Ulrich? As many people may not have heard of you before.
Well, I mainly stream. I stream most nights on 5 different platforms. I'm on DLive, Twitch, YouTube, Trovo, and Facebook Gaming. I stream most days. I stream on the PlayStation and the Xbox, and sometimes on the PC. So, and of course, I'm at Ulrich on Twitter. So there you go.
That's good to hear. Hopefully, you get some more followers and some more, because you need to get some more followers on there, or more engagement.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Where can people find you, VJ? Thanks for coming on. You've been very insightful. I always enjoy your your views on certain subjects. It seemed very interesting.
Thanks for having me on tonight, Stubbs. I really appreciate it, and I hope to come on again soon if you have me. And,
most definitely.
Oh, yes.
It's always fun. And you can find me on Twitter, or you can find me on one of these dodgy podcasts. And it's all
Dodgy podcast. I like that.
Oh, it's the dodgiest one of all.
Yeah.
This is the dodgiest one of all. I like that.
Cockney villains on this one.
You can find you at Sam Fox's house as well, can't we?
Yeah.
Touch me, touch me.
Thanks for coming on, Mr. Tushy. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter as Mr. Tushy. You can find me on Xbox, PlayStation, and Mr. Tushy. Twitch as well. I stream there on Saturdays for the community game night, which we have every Saturday on Xbox at 9 p.m. UK time. It's also followed by, it's taken over at 1 o'clock a.m. by Noof Nukem, who carries on till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. That's about it, really.
Okay.
You can find me on Facebook too, but I don't go on there much.
That's good to hear. Where can we find you, Removable Sanity?
I'm can be found on Removable Sanity on Twitter and Minds and on Xbox. Do you give me a shout? I can chat
All night.
I can, yeah.
Thanks for inviting yourself on, more Stu. Where can we find you?
Well, you can find me on YouTube as Injustice War Stew, also War Stew Vlogs, also the main one, War Stew. Then there's Twitter, New Monster Rockstar. There's Twitter, War Stew G. There's Instagram, War Stew Vlogs. There's Instagram, War Stew. There's Facebook, War Stew. Then there's twitch.tv/War Stew. Then there's twitch.tv/War Stew Vlogs. Then there's obviously the Facebook group page, which is DC Marvel United, War Stew.
Got a script in front of you.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm trying to write this down.
I've just got a lot of pages.
Fair play. Thanks for coming on.
It's all right. Thanks for inviting me.
Well,
Stubbs, where can we find you?
we can find me on this channel. Please subscribe and Stubbs Gaming on Twitter. Now, do people want me to upload this to podcasts? I don't know. I've uploaded a Stubbscast to podcasts, and it seems to be doing well. I don't know. I have to have a think about whether to upload this show to podcast networks or not. I don't know yet. Now, this show is weekly. It's called Midweek Gaming with Stubbs and Crew. It's every week, every Wednesday. There we go, at 10 p.m. British summertime, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and just for VJ, it's 2 p.m. PST.
Oh, cool.
I've got all the times correct.
Pacific Standard Time, is that?
That's it. That's what it must mean. That's it. Yeah. So, thanks for stopping by, everyone, and I'll see you all soon.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good one.
See you later.
Battletoads!
Battletoads!